Frenchie. The Frenchurian candidate, the franchise, French fry. He has taken a lot of different aliases over the first 2 weeks of this game, ladies and gentlemen. But now that Killmonger Kai has shown himself to be the antithesis of the type of HOH that Frenchie showed himself to be to all of us during week one, Frenchie's game is dead on arrival, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd argue he gave Kylan the softball in order to make his HOH week so easy. You know, I got a lot of people telling me, Kai choked, Dave. Kai should have threw up Brent and Frenchie. Don't get it twisted. I wanted that too. Then I started to think. His initial noms of Brittany and Frenchie was quite slick. And in this rant, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to break down how Kylan not taking the advice of others and going with his own decision is why Frenchie, Brittany, and Flambeau are unraveling. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed, the Pop the Trunk podcast, now Patreon exclusively sponsored Hall of Fame. Recency bias radio, where no one is safe from criticism. With me, of course, is your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trio, the Rant God. Hotep Thanos, Throne Thanos, Metro Kaiba, the Pro-Black Prodigy, the Shadow Realm Shaman, the Pronoun Punisher, and now the No-Sleep Assassin, here to bring balance back to Big Brother 23 US. All of the above on that ISET test and ACT, you know what it is. And we're back for another deep dive, Coach. I gotta break this down for the people in the back that was too busy to watch last night, Coach. Understand, in this 10th rant of my Big Brother 23 Rant playlist, known as Gummit's Plummet, we're gonna break down how Frenchie put his own foot in his mouth. He has no one else to blame for why he's in this position. And quite frankly, I have no pity for him. And when we start to break down some of these notes, you're all going to see Frenchie thinks he can play this Jedi mind trick of people of, I don't even want to be here anymore. I would just love to go back to my family. You know, I was never here for the 750 grand. I was here to always give all of my winnings to children's hospitals. Now, here's the thing. That's commendable. I'm not here to try to chastise a man for saying he's going to give to charity. But in your lowest moment, for you to mention this the most makes me feel like, once again, grifting is at play. Not only that, Coach, you got Flambeau in the cut. Super salty. I mean, listen, man. I love the fact Black Twitter has turned on this guy. Okay? I can unleash at least one of my stones on him tonight. You feel it? Dig me. We're going to talk about Flambeau. We're going to talk about Frenchie. We're going to talk about how Brent has pivoted. Him and Whitney. Ooh, they're heartless. The way they pivoted so fast and flipped on Frenchie out of survival, I respect it. Because guess what? Frenchie would have did that to them too. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'd argue if Frenchie wasn't so busy trying to overplay last week, you know how last Wednesday he started that women's alliance? And you know how he tried to blame that on Brittany when he told Brent about it? Brent ended up telling that story to Christian, who ended up telling it back to Brittany. Now Brittany feels framed for an alliance she wasn't privy to, let alone there for the creation of. Understand, Frenchie going out of his way to try to find fall guys or fall gals for his gameplay, I'd argue led Kylan down the road of picking Brittany as the perfect pawn to ensure victory. Understand, if Frenchie would have held back on that women's alliance, if he would have just stayed with the course of, I'm only close to Brent and Whitney, if he would have stayed with that mantra, I fully believe Kylan would have been talked into putting up a Brent or a Whitney next to him. And that alters this entire weekend differently. Because by Kylan keeping Brent and Whitney off the block, understand, he gave them the same luxury Frenchie gave them a week ago. Meaning he bought their loyalty this week like Frenchie bought their loyalty a week ago. Understand, before Kylan won, maybe it was right after he won HOH, or maybe it was right before he won HOH. I know this is around the time Travis exposed Frenchie's game completely. Understand, Frenchie came into the back bedroom, pointed at Whitney, and he tried to attempt some Dan's funeral type stuff. In my opinion, remember how Dan went out of his way to completely disrespect Danielle at the whole funeral because he needed her to sell that this was legit. So when it was time for him to approach Frank Udi with a deal, Frank bought it because at the time Frank didn't think he was that close to Danielle anymore. So Frank thought, okay, me and Gin City can work with Dan because he's on the outs. Bang, bang, bang. Us three versus the rest of the house. Of course, Dan ended up flipping back with his alliance a week later. I think Frenchie thought Kylan would be as dumb as Frank Udi this week, but he's getting hit with a wake-up call. I'd argue Frank Udi never had the type of strategic potential that Kylan already has. And he definitely didn't have a way with women the way Kylan has. I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck there. And I'd argue Frenchie is nowhere near as good as Dan. So he's attempting to implement a type of strategy he's not good enough to do. And his opponent is way better than Dan's opponent who fell for what Dan did. So it's a double negative in what he attempted, in my opinion. So he pisses off Whitney before we even get to the part of Kai nominating people. Now, a lot of people believe he snapped off on Whitney, or he may have snapped off on these other people because he was frustrated over the fact that Sarah Beth won the wild card over him and Brent. Imagine how emasculating that is for Frenchie. This guy was the first HOH. This guy turned down a twist, which would have given him safety this week, but he was too scared to go for it. Now, at the time, I said it was good gameplay, but I didn't expect Frenchie to be crazy as cat shit with his HOH. So give me a pass, ladies and gentlemen. All things are subject to change when more information presents itself. Well, we got more than enough information on this guy Frenchie to know he's full of crap. And see, Frenchie is doing this double talk game. I told you all about this last week on how he tried to make Kylan feel like, oh, I threw you up, but I'm in a far worse position than you because I know next week I'm going to be thrown up. Matter of fact, if it'll make you feel better, you can throw me up next week with your HOH. But then when Kai becomes HOH, it becomes, oh, he just betrayed the slaughterhouse. How could he turn on me like that and throw me up? Even Brent Helm Feeds had to let him know to his face. No, bro. I was in the HOH. Travis was. Zhao was too. You actually gave him the okay to go ahead and throw you up next week. So now that you're up, now that you're changing the narrative that Kylan somehow is untrustworthy. Truth is, you're the untrustworthy one here. And because this guy spends so much time trying to project all of his flaws as a player on others, it creates this boy who cried wolf scenario, where now no one wants to believe anything Frenchie has to say, and now Frenchie wants to play the victim card. Now Frenchie was, week one, I tried my best to fight for minorities and women. I'm tired of all of the attractive people always winning every season. You got Flambeau in the cut saying, yeah, I'm tired of Caucasians always winning too. And I'm like, Frenchie is Caucasian, Frazier? What the hell are you talking about, bro? Like, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it around the notes part. But understand, these people are so desperate. Flambeau's out here begging for a hidden America's twist to be there in the diary room waiting for Frenchie when he walks in. You got Brittany begging for a diamond power of veto. Hashtag save Brittany and Frenchie, guys. Even production don't care about that because they out here cutting her audio off halfway through the hashtag. Understand, when I break down these feeds, everything is going to make a lot more sense, Coach. And I'm trying my best to bury the lead, but ladies and gentlemen, Derek Zhao, the Thousand Dragon, okay? He has won veto again. So, Frenchie, you're complaining about, I don't like the way when someone's nominated, everyone just alienates them and don't want to hang around them anymore. Well, if you weren't such a social and strategic pariah, people would want to be around you. You know, on fees, this guy went into the DR and everyone in the house decided to have like fun and continue Hannah's birthday celebration by having like this little talk show. I've never seen the house that happy. I've never seen them that geeked up just for something as simple as what they were doing. But it was because Frenchie was in the DR. It was almost like their parole officer went on vacation, so they said, fuck it, I'm going to roll one up tonight. I got to keep it real. It feels like Frenchie is the house parole officer. They just trying to have a good time, B. Huh? Go home. And that's the truth of it all. He's the real party pooper. Now, I'm going to give him credit. Hey, man, you started off the pacing of this season with super high octane. If you got to be the second boot, salute to you, because you at least gave us a great starting pad to jump off of. You allowed people to see my analytical prowess by all of the confusing catastrophes that you brought upon the house. So, in all reality, I don't have a problem with Frenchie. But in this rant, coach, it is my responsibility to shine a light on how ingenious Kai's moves were this entire week and shine a light on how Frenchie, at every turn, made a mistake. So without further ado, let's get into the notes. I got a lot of notes. That's why I'm starting so soon. Bear with me. Now, y'all know me. When it comes to the notes, I'm going to have a few things that I have to say on top of it, but let's get down. All right, now, Kai starts off his HOH reign on feeds in the Coral Room after already getting his HOH room. Now, he didn't have his HOH room yet. Let me correct that part. Now, the reason why I thought he had his HOH room already was because, man, Brittany was sweating him something serious when feeds returned, to the point where everyone in the house noticed, like, whoa, she's sweating it. Now, keep in mind, Brittany is being framed as the creator of this girls' alliance, and I think this played a huge role in why she got thrown up next to Frenchie. But when we get into the whole Kai one-on-one situation, Kai is actually going to say something to Zhao, a.k.a. the Trill Town. I call them Trill Town. They're not Chill Town, they're Trill Town, because they're the next level. All right, it's cool to rock with these guys. But anyway, now, Kylan talks to Claire, and of course, Frenchie is spying. He walks in super thirsty, not just once, but twice into the Coral Room. Almost like the second time he was trying to catch them discussing him after he walked out. Frenchie then acts like he's so happy Claire is safe, but he doesn't stress how happy he is for Kylan. I noticed that. Frenchie, if you want to position yourself to be someone who always trusted Kylan, number one, I mean, it goes without being saying, you shouldn't have threw him up last week, but if you're really going to go with this narrative now, you need to be a lot more excited that he won this. The truth is, the minute Kylan won it, Frenchie looked like a dead man walking on the feeds. He couldn't even keep his poker face right because he knew he messed up last week. And I'm really eager to see what his confessionals sound like after Kai wins HOH. Oh, I know he gonna be pissed. But anyway, now, how people wanted Claire for being a captain, but he didn't allow it. So essentially, you have Frenchie trying to go up to Kylan in front of Claire and make it seem like everybody wanted Claire to be the first boot. I protected her. So Kai, you should respect what I did for her by protecting me, but you threw up Kai. Why should that play a role in how Kai feels? Also, we're going to get into it, but Flambeau Frazier he's so heated over the fact, why did Kai have to nominate two members of Team Jokers? Why couldn't he just do one Joker and one ace? Or one Joker and one king? Why did it have to be two aces? It's funny, Frazier, you got a problem with that now. Last week, you had no problem with Kai got replaced on the block by another Team Queen member. Doesn't that show how fake and how hypocritical Frazier and Frenchie are? The fact that this is such a personal move to them, but they backdoored Travis and tried to get Zhao not to use it on Alyssa, so Zhao wouldn't even have the protection from Kai this week? Understand, Zhao knowing better is the reason why Zhao has 2 vetoes in the tuck. He has Kai's loyalty because he's backing up Kai's move to get Frenchie out. Let's keep it real here. From what it sounded like on feeds after feeds returned, it sounded like it came down to Brittany versus Zhao. It sounds like Zhao yoked Brittany. Now, this was a time comp. It wasn't as if they competed versus each other. But that makes me want to applaud production, because everyone and their mama thought production was going to rig this veto. Because after these dudes got emasculated by Dr. Bones in the wild card, I was like, oh, here we go. You got Frenchie on feed saying, oh, if it's a wall comp, can't nobody beat me. I'm thinking, what are the odds that he says that out loud and production chooses a wall comp for the veto? Now, I know wall comps on average usually aren't veto comps. On average, they're usually an HOH comp. Usually we see them right after an eviction. Well, every HOH comp is right after an eviction. But you get what I'm saying. At the end of the day, wall comps are rarely used as strictly vetoes. So I felt like if in this moment they would have picked a wall comp just for Frenchie because he said that's his wheelhouse, it would have telegraphed a lot and it would have showed fans nothing has really changed. I think the fact that they didn't try to rig this time comp for Frenchie, it is once again a step in the right direction because, hey, if Frenchie is as good as y'all claim he can throw Brittany under the bus and talk his way out of this. But I think he is starting to realize there's no way I stay over Brittany, and we're going to get there. So now Frenchie is trying to act like Kai should keep him safe because he kept Claire safe. This is the dumbest gameplay I've seen under pressure. It's like Frenchie can't help but sweat Kai by being around him because he's too paranoid to give him space. It's also too convenient. Frenchie now sleeps in the room Kai was in during Kai's HOH to bug the crap out of Tiffany and Claire all week. Now, they ended up forcing him to sleep in the room with Team Jokers. I don't know if production stepped in there, but it was clear to me Frenchie was trying to sleep in that coil room so he could sweat Tiffany and Claire. Now Christian's in that room now, I think. So it did get switched up. And I also need to give Kylan credit. Kylan knew that Frenchie would try to basically follow Tiffany and Claire around, stalk them a little bit in the game to get some type of an inkling on what Kai was planning. By Kai giving Claire and Tiffany free reign to be in his HOH room whenever they want to at night, it gives them a game excuse to be upstairs longer than normal, which allows them to scheme a lot longer where Frenchie can't go. And because Zhao, and because Zhao was a have-not this week, it also is opportunistic as well, because this allowed Tiffany and Claire to pull Zhao to the side to come up with a plan to figure out a way to guarantee Frenchie or Brent left. Now, at this point, everyone's aware of the slaughterhouse, pretty much. It's just vague details. They don't know all the members, but they know the alliance's name. And definitely because of Travis, everyone knows of the Women's Alliance. That's important to state. Hopefully, Kai offers them safe haven away from Frenchie in the HOH, which he ended up doing. Now, based on Team Kings' perspective, Brittany is acting very weird because she was like the last one to leave the HOH, or the last one to leave the room that Kai was in when he first won HOH, technically. To be real, she was the one I first saw on feeds talking to Kai. She clearly is nervous about taking the fall for the French Kiss Alliance. And Christian threw her under the bus fast to Xavier. Honestly, it feels like Brittany has a crush on Christian because she looks like she's following him around wearing the same damn shirt. Like a lot of live feed fans, we're starting to connect some dots here that Brittany might have a crush on Christian, and that might cause some friction between her and Alyssa down the line. Also, it appears Brittany has this alter ego called D'Angelo. Very cringe, but we're not going to focus on that. Now, anyway, Frenchie talks to Tiffany alone and he's nervous. He said to her he thinks he's touching the block either immediately or by back door. He clearly is trying to push Tiffany to keep him safe by talking some sense to Kylan. He isn't doing this pity party with any of his white friends he showed preferential treatment in week 1, though. So why is he coming to Tiffany with this now? Because now he wants to play the victim again to stay. He's hoping now he can use the fact that I'm a parent on Tiffany to make her feel bad enough to want to fight for him. And to be fair, Tiffany did somewhat fight for Frenchie up to a certain point this week. Not all the way, not enough to make Tiffany look funny style to Kai necessarily, but you have to understand, Tiffany was one of the hinky votes. This is one last thing Frenchie could hold over her head to compromise her game to someone like Kai. Because of that, Tiffany prioritized getting Brent out over Frenchie. So the majority of her agenda was pointed towards Brent. Now, luckily for all of us, Kai decided to go a different route, and that's why we got great feeds. But this is another great example, fans, of how just because Tiffany's a fantastic player does not mean Kai needs to do everything she wants him to do. I mean, I got into debates on Patreon with people who thought Kai was choking just because he didn't do what Tiffany wanted, but it's Tiffany's game to take Brent out right now. For Kai's game, and this is important, he has to make it seem as if he wants Slaughterhouse to stay together just without Frenchie. So he needed every single member of Slaughterhouse to okay the target of Frenchie. And because Frenchie was dumb enough to start the Women's Alliance, he made it very easy for Kai to get all those people to throw Frenchie under. So understand, Kai is playing 5D chess. He has the Cookout Alliance over here. He has this 7-person alliance, really 8 if you add Zhao to Kings and Queens over here. And he also has this faux slaughterhouse that may or may not still exist anymore. Kai is kind of secure 3 different ways. He kind of is. Which is why for his game, he cannot be perceived as the one who blew up Slaughterhouse. He needs the narrative to always be Frenchie blew it up. He just went and regulated on what Frenchie did to deceive and to betray the rest of that alliance. Understand, Kai is the good cop to Frenchie's bad. And by Kai handling this HOH with such class, he separates himself from Frenchie like I predicted he would on Thursday night. Understand, Kai is really impressing me, man. He's really impressing me. Now, Frenchie has no accountability. Frenchie claims everyone misunderstood things he did. What does that even mean? You nominated Kai. You wanted the misunderstanding to happen at the time to justify your decision then. Now when Kai is justified he should turn the other cheek, now when Kai is justified, you think he should turn the other cheek because you got exposed by Travis? Whatever Travis exposed involves names, and Frenchie refuses to share that with Kai to keep himself safe. So his own stubbornness is why it is easier to throw him up. If I had to guess, the names are of the women's alliance he refused to give up because Kai knows about Slaughterhouse. Everyone in the house is in a good mood except Frenchie, Brittany, and you know what? Until Frenchie got thrown up, Frazier wasn't in that bad of a mood because Frazier actually believed he could convince Kai not to throw up Frenchie. It's funny how all these people thought their games were so good. You know, I'm hearing Frazier, Azai, and Brittany, they're mad. Now, I think to a certain extent, Azai is acting. But I do think she also knows that if Frenchie leaves this week, Azai has to start to play. She can't lay in her bed no more because she don't have that shield of Frenchie causing chaos where she can just be in her Bible, right? Frenchie leaves, now Azai got to step up. Now she has to be the leader of that team. Brittany's game is compromised by Frenchie because she was one of his spies. Frazier, same thing. Azai is the only member of that team people don't view as just a devout, involuntary Frenchie supporter, right? Azza's the one people look at as, okay, she's logical enough to know Frenchie's got to go, at least. Now, right now on feeds, Azza's definitely trying to work her magic to try to get some other situation, but what else is she going to do? Two of her teammates are on the block. I'm not going to knock her for that, but yeah, I just don't appreciate the hypocrisy that comes from people like Frazier. I just don't appreciate it, you know? I don't appreciate it. Now, it also appears Frenchie is trying to bully people into throwing wildcard to him. He apparently busted open the door to a room and told Christian, I think it's a storage room, and he told Christian and Hannah no matter what, nobody can stop him from winning wildcard. Now, the reason why Christian and Hannah immediately clowned Frenchie on this, they competed in wildcard last week, you idiot. They couldn't compete this week. Why are you trying to punk them out when they're not even... He's rattled, y'all. This dude is trying to intimidate people that ain't even suiting up to hoop. It's like, hey, man, he looked like he might be on that other team. Bro, he's going to the weight room. Chill out. Like, dang, bro. Like, Frenchie is the one making enemies out of all of these people because he feels cornered. That's what it is, you know? So, meaning Frenchie is so rattled, he is going off on people who aren't even eligible just because he's mad about Travis blowing his game up. Now, around 2 a.m., Frenchie is out here still soaking in his own karma. But now he's talking to Azai. I think this guy's strategy is to make everyone feel bad for him so he appears weaker than Brent to make sure he lasts this week. This is why I want Brent on the block with Frenchie and for Brent to win veto to get the gaslighting grifter out of here. Now at the time, this is what I wanted. I'm going to keep it all the way a bean and be transparent. I'm not fake. I'm going to tell y'all how I felt in the moment. Frenchie thinks Azai is dumb enough to buy that there is someone else in this house by flipping people. There's someone in this house flipping people. Frenchie claims every time he's close to figuring this out, it flips again on him. That's a lie. He's the one flipping it every time someone figures him out. Once again, more projection. You got to catch it, though. Azai asks him who he thinks it is. Frenchie blames all of this on Christian. Technically speaking, Christian did play a role in why Brittany's on that block. But once again, Christian, he is nowhere near playing as dirty as Frenchie is playing. But I will give Christian some credit for getting Frenchie out this week. I think a few people played a massive role in Frenchie leaving this week. I think it's Brent, Christian, Zhao, and Kylan. I think those are the only 4 players that can legitimately claim this move because they all played a role in it somewhat. And since Azai has been in her bed a lot, she can keep denying any prior knowledge of what's going on to keep Frenchie in the dark. When feeds return around 2:23 a.m. on Friday, Claire and Tiffany are strategizing hard on ways to guarantee Brent and Frenchie get split up. Tiffany appears most concerned with protecting Brittany, who is the fall girl for the alliance Frenchie started. And now, with the entire house having knowledge of that French Kiss's alliance, it's heavily implied Travis knew about that too when he exposed Frenchie. So it makes sense Claire and Tiffany would be very worried for Brittany because they know she isn't the problem. Now, based on using chess pieces, Claire and Tiffany figured out there has to be something brewing between Frenchie, Flambeau, Brent, Whitney, Christian, Xavier, and Alyssa. Ooh, they read the whole slaughterhouse just based off using chess pieces. This was impressive. Now, Kai is part of this group too, but for his game, it's probably best to fire the first shot because the alliance is fake anyway. It will take all three jackpot girls to convince Kai what needs to be done, and all three did play a great role. You know what? Sarah also deserved credit for how Frenchie went out because she won that wild card. Let's not forget Sarah Beth. Hopefully, the way Frenchie treated Hannah and Christian gets back to Kai, because that should tell him how little Frenchie trusts him if he's already threatening people to throw wild card to him. You know, if you claim Kai is your boy, why are you threatening people for wild card already? Because he's not. Now, this is actually the perfect scenario because Kai gave Claire and Tiff the HOH to sleep in this week, allowing them to scheme away from Frenchie, Christian, and Brent. Also, Zhao, being a have-not, helps him stay close, and this is why Claire and Tiffany want to fill Zhao in on the plan early to form a united front to influence Kai into turning on Frenchie. Now, Claire tells Zhao it's clear who is running the game, but she doesn't have a good read on who the guys really like and don't like. Zhao mentions how Flambeau could prove to be the biggest obstacle this week. He was right, because that boy, listen, we're going to get there, but woo, he done lost his mind, further showing me Zhao has a solid read on the house. Zhao tells Tiffany and Claire they can trust him, but don't give him any names so we can't compromise them on accident. They then look at every chess piece one by one to separate the numbers they would have to guarantee this power play can work. With 12 votes this week, you can get Frenchie out with at least a six vote tie. So that's what they're aiming at. Zhao knows himself, Sarah Beth, Hannah, Tiffany, Claire, and Azza are 6 already. Now the thing is, because noms are most likely going to stay the same because Zhao won veto, absolutely Azza will vote Frenchie out. She can't afford to vote Brittany out because Brittany is who she's closest to amongst the ranks of Team Jokers. So yes, they already do have the votes to ensure Frenchie's done. Logistically, and Flambeau, you better not throw a vote to Frenchie, bruh. After trying to frame other people for hinky votes, you better not be the one doing that now. And see, here's the thing, Frazier, you're in a tough spot. Now you have allowed all those people who know you were the hinky vote. That's the thing. Christian, Alyssa, Xavier. I think Sarah knows now. And I want to say Brent and Whitney. I think the 6 of them all know that Frazier was one of those hinkies working for Frenchie to screw over Zhao and Kai. Had Brent won HOH, Frenchie would have pointed Brent at those two as the hinkies. So understand, the reason why Frazier doubled down on doing the hinky along with Tiffany was because he was trying to screw over the black man too. So his cooning spans back all the way a week ago. So before this week even kicked off, he was already prepping to screw Kai over. So I don't want to see Flambeau fans acting like Kai fired the first shot to hurt Frazier's game. Frazier been plotting on all these black folks from the start. Let's keep it a bean. Now, if Flambeau votes with them, that's the majority right there. That's 7. But I think for their games, leaving him in the dark might be the best play. He's in too deep. Zhao confirms Whitney, Brent, and Frenchie are tight for sure. But Zhao also knows Xavier is close to Frenchie only because Frenchie fears him. He also knows Christian is without a doubt with Alyssa, but these two are trying to get a 5 going with Frenchie, Brent, and Whitney. Zhao confirmed a lot of important game intel with these 2 women. Tiffany asks Zhao where does he think he ranks in the hierarchy. Zhao knows he's paired with Kai from last week, but he also is smart enough to know Kylan is closer to the women from a house perception standpoint. Zhao then asks the women, Zhao then says he trusted Kai more than Travis because only working with Kai can get him off the bottom of the game. How Zhao asked Travis if he had a better relationship with the house than Kai, and Travis said no. So Travis gave Zhao his blessing to save Kai, contrary to what a lot of fans think. Now it makes sense why Travis threw Frenchie under the bus. It was to make it easier for Zhao's veto play to work by making Frenchie the new Zhao. Oh, Travis, I see what you did. Travis, listen, okay, on some siege mentality type stuff, someone threw a grenade, Travis jumped on the grenade so he could save Kai and Zhao from any of the shrapnel. In my opinion, it was one of the most courageous things he did, and he guaranteed that some of that shrapnel hit Frenchie, who threw it, and maybe he threw the grenade back, on the Call of Duty side of the game. I low-key want a battle back comp now because Travis may have saved this season by going Kaser on Frenchie. I'm joking, though, because with Frenchie leaving next, last thing we need is production bringing Frenchie back. Oh, hell no. Motherfucker gonna come back into the house like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Well, you feel it? Now, Zhao then says they need Brittany this week, but if they get Frenchie or Brent out next, they don't need her number anymore. Tiffany says they need to scare Brittany more to make her open to turn on Frenchie because she is out there alone as a scapegoat prior to Wildcard. All of this is fantastic gameplay. It makes no sense to throw anyone up from their side. I don't see Kai throwing up a woman from his side, so it's really between Christian, Brent, and Frenchie, in my opinion, who goes home. Tiffany is slowly working Christian to turn on Frenchie and Brent too. If this plan works, this game is blown wide open and anyone could win it. Well, besides Flambeau. Now, let's get to Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as of Thursday night, Kai appears to be all in on Slaughterhouse, but I don't see this lasting long because Dr. Bones won the wild card and didn't change teams, meaning she protected the Jackpot Alliance and kept herself safe this week. Understand, if she would have changed teams and would have went to Team Queens, she would have pretty much telegraphed to the whole house how close she is to Claire and Tiffany. I think by her not doing that, she covered for both of those ladies, allowing them to once again play exceptionally this week once again. So I have nothing negative to say about Sarah Beth. In my opinion, Sarah Beth is playing one of the better games in the house as of this week now. She's looking really good on feeds. This is perfect for Kai because he doesn't have to expose how close he is to Sarah by explaining why she can't be his pawn this week. Also, this means Frenchie, Brent, and Whitney have nowhere to run or hide. The smoke is coming. Now, the feeds come back after the wild card, and Alyssa and Christian look super nervous. Kai begins his one-on-one conversations with the house. But since he's so close to Sarah, he gave Team Kings the respect of talking to them all at once. Soon as Kai mentioned what happened with Frenchie last week, feeds cut for a second. That worried me, that production was trying to hide the tapes and hide Kai's perception of Frenchie's gaslighting, but I digress. Team Kings anticipates an endurance comp, and Kai wants a strong team to align with Queens. This is the perfect alliance from a social standpoint, physical standpoint, and puzzle standpoint. I personally would like Alyssa gone sooner than later because she will be what causes beef between Xavier and Christian at some point. But for now, this deal was the best move because it pushes Kai towards nominating Brent and Frenchie easier. Christian and Sarah brought up great points about how their team has proven themselves so far while other teams haven't proven a thing. That's facts. That's a fantastic point. I'm not a who deserves to be here the most type of guy, but I personally don't like Team Jokers if Azza isn't on it. Can I keep it a bean? If they didn't have Azza, let's say they didn't have Azza and they had, let's just throw a name out there, Whitney. I think no one would like that team. But because Azza's on the team, to a certain extent, we don't want to see them get straight up hagonged, but we also want to see someone scare Frazier straight. We need that. I don't like Aces much without Zhao either. No disrespect to Hannah. And Hannah definitely was an unsung hero of feeds last night. We're going to get there as well. On her birthday, she let Frenchie have that shit. She had her Keisha moment. Yeah. But I like the majority of Kings and Queens without a doubt. Kai proceeds to separate his HOH from Frenchie even more by telling everyone he doesn't want them stressed this week, how he won't make promises he can't keep, how he wants to play this as straight as possible. Sarah gets the first one-on-one with Kai, and it turns out Frenchie snitched on Slaughterhouse already to Sarah just because she won wildcard and he was scrambling. This guy just gave Kylan an out to not stay loyal to Slaughterhouse because the guy who made it already ruined it. Frenchie is dumb. Not only that, Frenchie confirmed all the people in the Girls Alliance aren't in Slaughterhouse. How Frenchie said he knows he's going home, but he hopes Sarah wins now. So the girl he waited until a day before Travis went home to include in any deals is now the player he wants to win the most? Sounds like a sore loser to me. You should have taken the damn temptation. And that's facts. Now, Sarah tells Kai her wildcard play of not using it to change teams bought more trust from the house, more trust than Frenchie has. Kai seems super worried about looking stressed or nervous. He's hopeful his poker face is good enough and can hold up. Sarah somehow beat Brent and Frenchie for this wild card. Whitney comes in the HOH with Whitney comes in this HOH with Brent for her one-on-one after Sarah. Whitney is asked about the two hinky votes. This is basically how Kai asked every single person a certain amount of questions. He had it timed, so it was like a speed dating type format. And honestly, a lot of super fans that were watching feeds on this night all agreed that for future HOHs, this is probably the most optimal way to get people in and out and put them under some pressure, and maybe that pressure cooker forced them to reveal more information than they would like to because they know they're short-timed and they're trying to save themselves. You know what I mean? So I think this is another thing Kai got right this week. Frenchie just kept jumping back in. He would never let it just simmer. He just kept heating the damn soup up. At a certain point, you got to let it simmer, coach. Dang, all the soup going to evaporate. Before you know, it's just going to be a whole bunch of sticky sauce at the bottom. All the broth gone because you kept the Bunsen burner up. But anyway, I ain't going to go too far on that. I'm just saying what it is. The dichotomy between Kai's HOH and Frenchie, it's uncanny. Now, Whitney then says she was in the back bedroom with Hannah, Frazier, Brittany, Sarah, and Frenchie. How Frenchie went off on everyone and pointed at Whitney, talking about he's out with the other half of the house, forcing Whitney to damage control because now Frenchie is looking for more scapegoats than just Brittany. This guy is such a coward, he is now unraveling on the one player he tried to weaponize against the black players last week. Now, Kai then asks her if someone like Frenchie is an asset to the alliance or a detriment. Should Frenchie be given a second chance by allowing him to play in veto or be backdoored? Whitney seems to prefer a backdoor scenario where Frenchie can't win veto and blow up the alliance. But Kai, even alluding to this, tells me Frenchie is hitting that block. So now Whitney and Sarah both threw Frenchie under the bus. So are you keeping tally here? That's two people so far that have already said Frenchie can go. Two women to be exact. Meaning the women are forming like Voltron to get Frenchie sent to the damn Shadow Realm. He asks Whitney who she trusts out of the seven, and she basically says she trusts everyone but Frenchie and Flambeau. Wow. So even Whitney is on to Frazier's game. The game is getting good. Now, Alyssa comes in next after Whitney. Alyssa says she doesn't know who did the hinky votes. Now, Alyssa says X and Christian found out late. Alyssa then snitches on Flambeau being one of the hinky votes and someone else. That's what she's being told. So Tiffany is being protected by Frenchie to an extent, but I think this protection is only contingent on if Tiffany keeps Kai from nominating Frenchie. This is why a lot of fans was nervous Tiffany would get her stuff aired out, because Tiffany lied to Kai's face and said Brennan Whitney did it, trying to get Brennan Whitney thrown up. And at this point, Kai knows Flambeau was one of the hinkies as well, and we're going to get into that in a second. Oh, Kai has a great read on Flambeau now. Frazier, you're lucky that Zhao won that veto. You need to thank Derek Zhao. You need to thank him very much, because I'm telling you right now, if Brittany wins that veto, takes herself off, you were going up, Frazier. You were going up. You were going up next to Frenchie because your loyalty is just as unwavering as Brittany. So you serve the same purpose. Now, I personally believe that Frazier always thought that Kai would never go to do that because of the Black Alliance. But Frazier is already considering throwing up Kai just for throwing up Frenchie. So it's funny. Frazier thinks he can use being black against other black players, but he thinks being black doesn't matter when he's angry. So once again, he's not on code by choice. He's on code for, there you go. So Tiffany is being protected by Frenchie to an extent, but I think this protection is contingent on if she keeps Kai from nominating Frenchie. Alyssa then confirms Whitney's story about Frenchie snapping on her in the bedroom, which gives Whitney more credibility than Brent heading into noms. Kai then asks Alyssa if Frenchie is a detriment or asset. Alyssa agrees he's already hurting the slaughterhouse. So now Frenchie's little sister wants him out too. Oh man, this is some Cain and Abel stuff popping off, coach. You really dig me? Damn. Kai then asks Alyssa if she wants to keep that 7 or form a new 7. Because without Frenchie, that alliance is never made, therefore, there is no real foundation of trust. Alyssa needs to flip on Slaughterhouse and form the new 7 with the Kings and Queens. He asks her if there was any other alliances, and Alyssa admits there is a girls' alliance that doesn't include her or Whitney. Turns out Alyssa was offended by Frenchie not including her in this, and that's driving her to want him out even more. So you see another misplay Frenchie made here. He started a women's alliance. He left Alyssa and Whitney out because he felt they were too close to certain men he feared. Okay? And because he decided to do that, these women are holding the biggest grudge with him now. Like, whoa, you're not going to include us? Wow. So they're seeing him for who he truly is. He didn't include them in it because he wanted to play those two women off the other 6 women and vice versa. He was putting those two women in a lose-lose situation. And as you start to let Frenchie talk more, he was always very fearful of Brent, Whitney, Christian, and Alyssa, and maybe Xavier forming a 5 to take everyone else out. So now his perspective is, oh, the reason why I did everything I did is because I had to recruit that 5 because that's the cool kids 5. They so attractive. You know, that's his perspective on this. But at the end of the day, Coach, you was lollygagging around, okay, you know, flirting with Brent every other second. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really trying to hear that right now. If Brent wins that HOH and Kai doesn't, there is no friction. There is no fracture. Of course, he tries to sick Brent on Zhao and Kai, but in my opinion, Frenchie would not be implementing any of these talking points if Brent had won HOH. He wouldn't be throwing Brent under the bus. Hell, Brent wouldn't be throwing Frenchie under the bus. But that's what makes this game so great. It changes on a dime, and that's why if Brent would have won that HOH, this season would have been boring. But by Brent not winning it, now we all can see Brent is actually a lot more tolerable when he's not right next to Frenchie. A lot of people, when they get around certain friends, they become the worst version of themselves. I think that's Brent and Whitney. I think if you put them around people that are more likable, their personalities are more likable. Go figure. You know? And I think that's why, for everyone's sanity, Frenchie gotta go. Frenchie gotta go. Now, Zhao comes in and straight up asks Kai if he trusts Frenchie. Kai doesn't really answer, but redirects it back to Zhao. Zhao keeps it real and throws Frenchie under that dang yellow school bus. You feel it, dig me? Man, he threw him under that thing, man. I'm telling y'all, you know, for not wanting Zhao to use veto on Kai. How the 2 hinky votes were meant to frame Kai and Zhao. Zhao didn't have much information to share, but hopefully Kai knows Zhao trusts him a lot. Zhao then mentions how he chose Kai over Travis for a reason, how there's an alliance that doesn't include either of them, how those stray votes only make sense to come from Brent and Whitney because they were closest to them. So Zhao has the same narrative as Tiff as planned. Kai even tells Zhao he will have a good day, telling me Zhao has the week off. Little did Zhao know he would have a great Saturday as well by winning veto. This guy's turning into a comp beast on these people. You know what I mean? I just hope people don't backdoor Zhao even more because he won 2 vetoes in a row. That's really the worry. But my thing is, with no Frenchie in the house, the narrative of making Zhao the easy guy to target changes. And I personally believe the Tiffany's and Claire's of this world will want to weaponize Zhao, and they will still want Brent and Whitney going before him anyway. Now, Christian goes in after Zhao. Christian throws Flambeau under the bus for one of the Hinky votes. How the Hinkies were designed to screw over Zhao and Kai, further proving why Kai winning HOH over Brent was important. Kai would have been Brent's target 100% because Zhao would have been safe with a Brent HOH. But now that Kai has heard from multiple people that Flambeau played a role in trying to screw Kai over, I'm all for Flambeau touching the block this week. If I'm Kai, I'm more loyal to Kings and Queens than the Cookout until Flambeau goes home. I'm just saying what it is. Now, it appears Christian is losing a lot of trust in Flambeau because he was in the Butchers Alliance and Slaughterhouse. It also seems quite obvious to players that everyone else had been mistreated by Frenchie besides Flambeau and Brittany. Flambeau isn't playing as good as he thinks he is, and he isn't as protected by Frenchie either, because Frenchie is protecting Tiffany more than him. You know, when are you going to get your Negro wake-up call? Tiffany got her hinky covered up. You didn't. So imagine being the guy on national TV on feeds, "Hi, Frenchie's family. Hi." Imagine being that guy, and Tiffany gets more respect and more protection from this guy than you do. And she ain't even on his team. Man, you holding a fat L, bro. Man. But yeah, so at the end of the day, Kai then asks Christian if he should let Frenchie compete for a veto and slips up. Christian promises to keep the secret and says they should throw him up and Christian will help Kai keep noms the same. Christian was actually the main person saying, I don't think Frenchie wins that veto. I'm going to keep it being with you. I don't think he got it in him. And he was right. It makes sense Christian would want this because he doesn't want to be backdoored, so this is the perfect deal for Kai and Christian to grow closer. Hannah walks in after Christian. She tells him, she tells Kai she trusts Whitney and Brent weren't behind the hinky votes. Hannah then throws Frenchie under the bus as well by saying an all-girls alliance started by a man is stupid. I agree with that, sis. I agree with that, queen. Talk that hot shit. She even gave Kai the actual name, French Kisses. Hannah also tells Kai about what Frenchie did to her and Christian with the intimidation thing. Xavier comes in after Hannah. Kai tells X about Frenchie going up and how he wants to keep everyone calm by not backdooring them. They pretty much know what's up, so the convo went by fast. Xavier was the only person, to my knowledge, Kai actually told his nominations to. That tells me Kai has he legitimately wants to go to the end with X, which is good, because he ain't tell Flambeau that. But then again, he knew Flambeau was loyal to Frenchie, so he wouldn't have said it anyway. Brent comes in, and it took forever for him to admit Whitney did get into it with Frenchie. That did look a little skeptical, a little suspect. But he made up the pieces later. How Frenchie said F Slaughterhouse after going off on Whitney. I think this was all a fake fight to keep Brent and Whitney detached from Frenchie, so all three had a chance to survive this week. But Kai is sure to throw a Brent if Frenchie comes off. But Brent may have saved his game by throwing Frenchie under the bus just enough. I think if Brent covers for Frenchie here, Brent is up next to Frenchie. Brent admitting Kai owes him a nomination was honest enough to make Kai feel good about Brent for now. This is the Brent I had no problem with before he started kicking it too much with Frenchie. But then Brent throws Brittany under the bus, and I realize what's going on. Brent, Whitney, and Frenchie aren't done necessarily. They just are saying enough to make sure the three aren't still viewed as a trio. Brent gives Kai credit for having a great HOH so far, and both agree Kai is changing the narrative about him being a hothead from last Sunday. So I personally believe up to a certain point, Brent and Whitney were trying their best to be bipartisan. They weren't trying to fully throw Frenchie under that bus. Well, Whitney a little bit because he pointed at her and cursed. But from Brent's perspective, he tried his best to be kind of half and hedge that thing. But once he realized this was me or him, Brent wisely did what Brittany refused to. Throw Frenchie under the bus. Now, Claire comes in after Brent. Claire tells Kai he knows the house and he should trust his gut. Claire sees the house like this. Claire sees clear duos, loose duos, and Frenchie has so many Frenchmen, that are willing to throw him under the bus. Claire mentions how Frenchie has been all over the place, but how Brent and Whitney are sketching her out, along with Alyssa, who lied about wanting a shower, only to continue her workout after she couldn't. Ooh, Claire be noticing stuff. That was some slick stuff she fed Kai right there. You know, Alyssa be acting like she wants a shower and then she'll just go and work out anyway. Like, that don't even make any sense. Don't you want to smell? Like, I was like, yo, Claire, her brain kind of ticks like mine, where I notice behavioral patterns. I go, that's not something that person always does. Something's off, you know? Proving Alyssa is trying to spy. So Claire is connecting dots that everyone in Slaughterhouse is doing the most scrambling out of paranoia. How some people left the room with Kai to immediately grab someone. Then she mentions how Frenchie approached her about a conversation she had with him about wanting to protect the last three Queen's members. How she should remind Kai of that. As if Claire should be risking her great position for pump faking Frenchie. And that really is the dumbest part of it all. Frenchie is trying to get Claire to risk her game by trying to campaign on Frenchie's behalf. None of these people have any reason to rock with you anymore, bro. And see, the quicker Frenchie comes to this realization and stops trying to make victim noises and act like it's not fair and all that stuff, the quicker he can really start to implement some strategy to try to make Brittany into the bigger threat. Based off what people are saying, how that veto went down, Brittany came across very strong. So, at the end of the day, you know, there's a chance, but I think the chance for Frenchie staying this week is somewhere around 1%. That's how confident I am. Now it's time for T. Mitch to get her one-on-one, the main event of the evening. She calls Kai the CEO of the house. She compliments him for conducting his HOH week with so much class. Kai asks Tiffany if she has any information. Tiffany decides to phrase her intel based on rhetorical questions. This is some different shit. I ain't never seen someone ask HOH the questions. She said, she asked Kai, have you identified your position in the house? Have you identified the power players in the house? Where is your position with the power in the house? And how do you shift this to your advantage if there are people you can't trust? Those are the 4 questions he had. It was random, but she's giving him good coaching, though, okay? I'm not mad at it. Tiffany confirms she knows for a fact there are people who wanted Kylan out. She mentions how Frenchie isn't necessary to go on the block. This one I realized, oh, Tiffany, you scared about that Hinky vote coming back to haunt you. Now you don't want Frenchie to even touch the block, huh? I'm like, Tiffany is more focused on Brent because she has Frenchie's ear. She admits Frenchie is dangerous in the long run, but she personally thinks Kai should weaken Frenchie's defenses first, like Frenchie took out Travis to weaken Kai's. But what's the point of weakening someone's defenses when you could just take them out? Then the defenses no longer are the defenses. Like, what? Like, so this is when I knew, oh, Tiffany's trying to manipulate Kai into having her HOH, not his. She then straight up blames those votes on Brent and Whitney to say the best move is targeting them. But if Frenchie is the head of the snake who threw up Kai, it's not best for Kai to keep Frenchie safe at all. Make that guy hold his own nuts. Now, Tiffany's point is they need all 3 of these players to go before a jury for the rest of the house to have a chance. So it shouldn't matter the boot order at all. If Frenchie is connected to them both and brought both in, he should be the first one targeted to send a clear message. Allowing Frenchie another week to win HOH and do this all over again only helps Tiffany's game amongst the queens, and Frenchie's recklessness allowed Tiffany to gain trust from those Frenchie pissed off. In my opinion, Frenchie is clearly the real big fish. Kai acknowledges he wants those 3 gone, but only one can go at a time. Another accidental slip-up. Feeds then cut after Tiffany leaves. Now, I love these one-on-ones Kai put together because he allowed everyone else to choose the target he already wanted. This already made him look like a diplomat compared to Frenchie the dictator. Not only that, Kai never gave Frenchie a one-on-one. I love this. I loved it. I paid attention to this. I was like, wait a minute. Frenchie never once got a one-on-one. It felt like Frenchie avoided that one-on-one, if I'm keeping it all the way funky with you. But yeah, so I thought this was poetic justice. Because if y'all remember a week ago, when I was documenting this, Frenchie never once gave Derek Zhao the respect of a one-on-one until Saturday night after Derek Zhao was the veto holder. Then all of a sudden, yeah, man, I always thought you had potential. I really want you to do well in this game, right? But for the first 4 days of the game, he was like, oh, who cares about this? Or 3 days of the game, he's like, oh, who cares about this guy? I love the fact that Kai gave him that energy back. He gave it right back to him. How does it feel? And see, that's another problem I got with Flambeau and all these other people talking about people, I'm ostracized. People are not around me. This is what I wanted to avoid week 1. You treated Zhao like trash. The exact same way. Matter of fact, you were worse. And that's facts. But see, when that shoe was on the other foot, now you get to see the big bad bully show us all that he ain't really no bully. He's just a coward who happened to hold the weapon. Ooh, let's talk it. Let's talk it. Be careful how you treat people, because when that shoe is on the other foot, nobody will feel sorry for you. Frenchie is feeling the Gummit Plummet commencing. When fees return around 6:35 p.m. Big Brother time, Frenchie and Brittany are on the block. Right after noms happened, Frazier, Azza, Brittany, and Frenchie were missing from feeds. Turns out the entire Team Aces group had a group meeting right after noms. They are rattled. They're rattled. I mean, literally, you got Brent over here. Why me? You got Azza letting the waterworks go because she got to make it seem like she really cares that much. But I think Azza would be okay if Frenchie left too. But at the same time, you got Frazier pissed off, looking like he's gonna choose violence at some point. You know what I mean? They're salty. Okay, this is when the best night of feeds this week started popping off. So let's continue. So you got Team Aces in the back bedroom. A complete meltdown is popping off. Brittany is playing victim, believing she is the target because the Girls Alliance was blamed on her. This is exactly what Team Queens wanted. Now Brittany has every incentive to throw Frenchie under the bus to stay if she's a good player. And she has a very high chance of beating him in the veto comp with her martial arts background. She is the perfect pawn. People will feel bad for her. And in fact, she did so much crying, Frenchie tried to get her to stop crying because he could see the more crying she does, the more my victim noises won't hold any weight to hers. The white girl crying technique is an undefeated strategy. You don't like it when it's used against you, do you? I'm just saying what it is. Now, She is on Frenchie's team, so Frenchie's actions should hurt her game. Frazier needs to be thankful his self-hating ass has the cookout. He would be the obvious nominee over Brittany if he was white. Facts, though. Now, Asa starts fake crying over all of this. Frenchie knows he is the target, so he isn't liking how Brittany is crying so much. Frenchie sounds defeated, telling Brittany to focus on him this week and she'll be fine. Frazier is pissed about why 2 members of Jokers had to go up because now his game is compromised. Asa is sitting good because she wasn't stirring the pot all last week, but for her game, she has to act like she is disappointed in Kai, but to be real, Asa knows Frenchie hurt her game too, and it would be best for him to go. Now, to be fair, Jokers do have a reason to be mad at Kai, because by throwing up 2 members, they have to reveal their cards way earlier than they had to. But when I hear people like Frazier, people like Frenchie, people like Asa, people like Brittany, pointing at the coral room, shitting on Tiffany and Claire, acting as if they ain't even have to play the game yet. They've been safe all game. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this the pot calling the kettle black? Frenchie was the first HOH. Y'all have been safe all game. And it's only been 1 week. Can we stop saying all game like it's 3 months? Like, Frenchie was on feed talking about, if I gotta go now, you know what? I'm proud of my game. I'm proud of the game I played. I accomplished a lot. You've been in the house 8 days. The bar is on the floor now, coach. You know what I mean? Now, Team Jokers tells Brittany to not let the rest of the house see her this emotional. Frenchie then promises fireworks are coming. Now, the majority of the house then believed there would be a house meeting called fireworks where Frenchie was going to try to air out everyone's laundry. Now, Frenchie ended up trying to flip this like he's the Joker, right? Where the Joker holds a gun, he shoots it, and then it like a flag comes out. Ha, ha, ha. So Frenchie's making it seem like, oh, fireworks is going to be me having y'all all in one room and have all y'all nervous, and then I just start cracking jokes about y'all. It's like, man, at this point, even that ain't funny to these houses. They got PTSD, bruh. They need you to GTFO. I gotta keep it a bean, though. You know? He even lies to Brittany's face by saying if he wins veto, he will use it on her. Get out of here, Frenchie. I don't buy that for a second. You can keep trying to pitch yourself as America's favorite player, but just like, who said this? Somebody, but just like Brent said, you're not America's favorite player. You're America's dumbest player. That's when I knew, the real Brent's coming out, and I like this version. This version, he got that hot shit to say. You know, and honestly, Brent is figuring out, the more he bashes Frenchie to these women, the more these women don't have a problem with him. I'm finna kick my feet up and just fry this dude for 6 days. And that's all you gotta do. Just throw that man under that bus. That's all you gotta do, you know? Now, Frenchie wants Team Jokers to stick together after he gets taken out. Frazier is too focused on the wrong stuff. Brittany is rattled, and Asa is just acting, in my opinion. And because Kai used in his speech that the House consensus was to put up Frenchie, Frenchie has run out of alliances to form to get out of this one. This is quite a pickle. This is a huge pickle for him. Now, excuse me. Frenchie says it ain't over until it's over. He leaves to get Brittany some water. Asa and Frazier immediately blame this on the people in the coral room. Asa and Flambeau claim this whole game Claire and Tiffany have been untouched, but we've only played 1 week. If we're using that logic, Team Jokers have been untouched too. They got to have the whole first week off. Now when they are forced to play, you see the difference in Flambeau's front-running gameplay versus Flambeau when faced with adversity. And he's in so deep with Frenchie, he's taking this personal when he ain't even on the block. Bro, you taking this more personal than Kai did when he got thrown up. Let's keep it a bean. Whitney comes in to hug Brittany. Then Frenchie talks about how he's going to blow this house up, and Whitney tries to talk him off the ledge, but Frenchie ignored her. I think Frenchie is completely full of crap. He wants Brittany to sit still and do nothing so he can go around and further paint a target on her. That's my take on this. But he claims what he's doing is so admirable, as if he didn't put Brittany in this position in the first place by telling Brent the girl's alliance was her fault. Once again, he starts a fire, then makes you think he did you a favor for not letting you burn alive. And now Frenchie claims he would have spent the winnings on a child hospital. The grifting never stops. Now, around 6:59 p.m., Frenchie talks to Kylan one-on-one finally. Oh, here we go. Matter of fact, let me get some Gatorade. Ooh, here we go. Clash of the Titans. Woo! It's going down. Now, around 6:59 p.m., Frenchie talks to Kai. He continues this BS narrative that he will use veto on Brittany. How he wants Kai to know it would be an honor if he went out during his HOH week. Cool story, bro. The same guy claiming he isn't upset now just said fireworks were coming 5 minutes ago. Then Frenchie says if Brittany is the target, redirect it to him. It's clear to me Frenchie is pandering and he's fishing to see if there is a backdoor plan, but there isn't. It's just you, man. Now, Kai makes Frenchie aware that multiple people from different teams said Frenchie blew up Slaughterhouse already. Annie revealed that the rest of the house said they would be down to move forward without Frenchie. This was a misplay by Kai because he is incentivizing Frenchie to start a new house meeting, but at least he didn't say any names. Kai claims he wants to get the team together tonight. Frenchie, and I thought this was a huge mistake, Kai. Don't get the team together. Let everything settle. You want everything calm, right? Don't bring a whole bunch of people together then. Let it simmer. Do the opposite of Frenchie. Frenchie the one, hey man, let me get another group of 5 up in here. That's Frenchie's game. You don't want to do that, you know? Frenchie then says he was mad today because of something personal, but if you connect the dots, he blew up the alliance after Sarah completely emasculated him and Brent by beating both of them 2 versus 1, and he was only mad because he lost it. Keep in mind as well, Frenchie approached Brent and asked him to throw the wild card to him. Frenchie still lost to Sarah. So now Brent is telling people, this man made me promise to throw it to him and he still lost. The guy's trash. Now, Kai is also wise to keep pushing this Slaughterhouse alliance because he has a different 7-person alliance that alliance isn't aware of, as well as the cookout. He has every reason to not piss off members of all three groups. Targeting Frenchie pleases members of all 3 alliances. Zhao comes in, so understand, him targeting Brent wouldn't have pleased every member of every team. Him targeting Frenchie allows him to have as good of a HOH week as possible because he's not the main house target after that. In fact, people might love Kai more for taking out the toxin of the house. You know? Zhao comes in after Frenchie's one-on-one. Zhao tells Kai he was wise to throw at Brittany because she was a vote to keep Frenchie 100%. Kai admits he wanted Frazier on the block next to Frenchie, but he isn't confident Frazier would win a physical comp under this type of circumstance and pressure, so he went with Brittany. This is wise from Kai, because by telling people he was considering Frazier, he keeps them off the scent of a Black Alliance existing. Kai also says Brittany has the top 4 best game knowledge in the house. Not only that, every single person in the house said Frenchie is a concern besides Brittany. Her unwavering loyalty to Frenchie got her put up. If she would have just named him, she'd be safe and someone else would have been nominated in her place. Probably Flambeau. So Kylan knows his noms are perfect. And it's great to see Kai trusting Zhao enough to tell him this information. Trilltown is truly forming. Brent, Whitney, and Hannah. Oh yeah, and this actually was even a funnier part because he actually told Zhao how he came to the decision of picking Brittany as the perfect pawn next to Frenchie, and he essentially told him, "Hey, everybody else in this house threw Frenchie under the bus and said he was a detriment to their game. Brittany was the only person who didn't say anything negative about Frenchie. So because of this, she's sitting right next to him." And that's when DX said, "You're an evil genius." And they started to laugh it off. So understand, they are starting to see that right now their threat levels are increasing together. They need each other. This is similar to how Chilltown needed each other. The threat level is increasing together. But as long as you stayed as a united front, people are scared, similar to how Jed and Ty, no one wanted to throw up one of them or both of them because one of them were going to stay. They could keep using that from a passive-aggressive standpoint to keep people at bay from targeting them until jury ever started. So understand, if Zhao and Kai play this correctly, they can have the same type of intimidation factor. Not literally, but if you know someone's capable of winning comps, you're less likely to go for them this early in the game. You're going to most likely go for someone that you think you can ensure goals so you don't have to replace another person, get extra blood, right? So the type of tone that Kai is setting is a tone to where, okay, y'all, we don't have to play this high-octane style. We can play straight up. We can play respectful. We can make sure at the end of the day that we can have mutual respect with each other in the strategy side. And by him separating himself from Frenchie, it's making Kai into a bigger-than-life figure. I can't wait to see how the edit portrays this because they didn't really tell the full truth about how crazy Frenchie was. So if you didn't really tell the full truth about Frenchie, can you really tell the full truth about how Kai looks so good compared to Frenchie? That's the thing. So it'll be very interesting to see if they add the Travis fight, if that adds further context and with some flashbacks. Now, Brent, Whitney, and Hannah then asked for a team meeting after Zhao was about to walk out, forcing Zhao to talk as a team too. It's clear by Kai keeping every member of Aces off the block, they are all promising him support. Oh, my fault. Yeah, that is Aces. My bad. So if Whitney or Brent take Frenchie off, they will be blowing up their games completely. Zhao and Hannah won't be blamed. Brent throws Frenchie further under the bus to Kai by admitting Brittany being behind an alliance was all Frenchie's doing. Whitney also promised Kai safety next week as well. So that's a promise we need to keep our eyes on, because if Whitney becomes the next HOH and she chooses to target Kai, oh, well, she just pulled a Frenchie. This is Zhao's first time hearing about this information as well. But it's great Zhao is learning this, because now he knows enough to deny this if it's lumped on him by Brittany later, further forcing Brittany to throw Frenchie under the bus. So understand, just by Zhao being involved in that team meeting to hear that from Brent, to confirm that story, now Zhao has enough information to know for a fact Brittany can't frame him. So this is great for Zhao as well. It's one less problem he has to deal with heading into next week. Travis even told Kai on his way out that Brittany is Frenchie's eyes and ears. Isn't this what I've been telling y'all since the first rant almost? Doesn't this fall in line with my perspective of her being a spy? Understand, Frazier is spooked because he knows he is the likely replacement nom if Brittany wins veto. It makes no sense now for Kai to ruin a deal with Whitney and Brent, offering him a week of safety just to throw someone else up next to Frenchie when he wants Frenchie out already. Frazier stays over Frenchie, Whitney and Brent might not. They all agree the only reason Brittany comes for Kai is out of retaliation, but strategically it was smart because Frenchie lost a guaranteed vote. If Brent or Whitney were on the block next to Frenchie, he wouldn't be talking this fall on his sword stuff. He's only doing it now because he knows the feeds show he is the reason Brittany's next to him. And him pointing at Whitney and making her feel so uncomfortable put Kai in a great position to pick up the pieces and come off as Whitney's knight in shining armor. Ooh. So this guy's flirting with Whitney, married man, just to look like the guy. You know, I told y'all about how he was offended that she said she wouldn't cuddle with him out of respect for his wife and stuff like that. And now Kai looks a lot better in Whitney's eyes than Frenchie ever did because Kai stepped up and protected her when a lot of people thought the easy move was to get her out. So salute to Kai as well. And once again, Kai's game is all about making the women feel good. The reason why he cried over those noms had nothing to do with him throwing Frenchie up and everything to do with him throwing Brittany up. I think a lot of people just automatically correlate him being soft or his sexuality with him crying, but it's pertinent for his game to be emotional even when putting up noms because you never want to come off as the cocky black man with a vendetta. By him allowing the house to choose the target and by him choosing the pawn himself but crying afterwards, he makes it seem like he's not this meanie that Frenchie was prior. It's all strategy. I think a lot of this is him acting as well. Okay, there's a lot more character depth to Kai. I'm noticing it on the feeds, man. He plays dumb, and he does have moments where we do think he's a recruit. But for the most part, the guy, man, this is as flawless of an HOH week as humanly possible, ladies and gentlemen. You know? Now, around 8 p.m., Frenchie is in the bedroom trying to damage control with Sarah and Hannah. Hannah straight up, here's where it gets real. Hannah, here we go. Hannah the Huntress. I told y'all she won. Oh man, she looking like Musashi out here the way she trying to cut this boy up. Now Hannah straight up asked Frenchie on her birthday if there was going to be fireworks, and now Frenchie says, "Oh, that was just a joke. I was never going to really do any fireworks." Now Hannah even confronted Frenchie for saying to other people that Hannah has no shot of winning this game, so why is she here? Wow. So the guy saying he's pro-women and pro people of color is the same guy saying, this black girl has no chance of winning. I don't even see how she got picked for this show. Damn. That's crazy to me, bro. Shoot, didn't Brent on feeds the other day also say that Kai wasn't built for this game or something like that? It's crazy how people just determine a casting decision was a mistake that quick. But now, as you can see, Brent is kissing kneecaps with Kai now. So it just goes to show the game flips on his head. But Frenchie acts like that comment he said about Hannah was just a joke as well, and she's just taking it too seriously. Yeah, okay, bruh. Once you start to talk about who deserves to be here and who doesn't, that's crazy to me. Especially when you're trying to position yourself as the guy who I just wanted to look out for the underdog and all this other stuff, and you acting no different from other people. I'm not even going to go that deep. I'm just going to say at the end of the day, you don't sound no different from the people you claim to be different from. That's all I'm saying. Then Frenchie says that comment meant she needs to look at her surroundings. How does that equate to her having no chance to win? Frenchie is just making himself look worse here. If we're playing that game, Frenchie has no shot to win. Does that mean we should question casting's choice in picking him? You see how dumb you sound, bro? You're telling us 1 week of an HOH reign, that was a cluster F, that was a complete choke job. You're telling us you feel accomplished. You're telling us you've done more than enough in this game already. You can hold your head high off of 1 week's worth of gameplay and a second week where you've pretty much come off like a quitter. You're the one trying to determine whether Hannah has a shot to win or not? See, man, stuff like this makes people not want to be around you in your lowest moment because they see how you get down. You say this to her, okay, now she not going to check for you. You disrespect Whitney, now she not going to check for you. You're blaming Brent for the stuff you did, he not checking for you. Now the narrative is, everybody abandoning me. Nah, bro, you abandoned them first. Then camera shift to the have-not room. Whitney and Brent reveal that Tiffany had 2 fights today with Frenchie. I didn't see any of this. This must have been when fees were off. Whitney admits the only people she trusts right now is her team aces, Alyssa and Kylan. She lost trust in Frenchie and Brittany completely because they were willing to blow up the alliance. Many players think Frenchie will blow everything up at the veto ceremony if he doesn't win veto. And now Brent and Whitney believe Flambeau was behind Zhao not trusting them week 1 just because Zhao didn't outright say a name to them. He allowed them to believe Big D was behind it, and it was genius of Zhao to stay quiet. This further separates aces from jokers. Even Brent said he's mad Frazier lied about the Hinky vote. How Flambeau is willing to go down with the sinking ship, and it's so dumb. Brent acknowledging this shows me he won't use the veto on Frenchie if he wins it. Okay? And see, stuff like this further backs up Kai's decision. Because there's no way you get Brent this adamant against Brent sounded like he was trying to throw them Joey daddies with Frenchie. It got that heated up to it. Because you got to understand, they didn't have a backyard. Everybody's locked inside the house, trying to act like they cool, but they hear a little bit too much nonsense and lies from Frenchie. They got to walk away. All right, man, I ain't going to let this dude gaslight me into hurting my game. I'm out. And that's really what it is. You know, and as people walk away, like, look at these guys not giving me the chance to bait them into manipulation. Damn, at least give me the chance. Like, you know, it's hilarious. But anyway, so now Zhao went from the outhouse to the penthouse because Brent and Whitney now don't want to align with jokers, making Zhao now very valuable to Team Aces because he is the bridge, in theory, working with Team Queens. And now they want to align with Queens. Brent is frustrated that Zhao is done saying names, so now Zhao can't have his game derailed. He learned from last week. Now, Brent keeps telling Zhao he stabbed him in the back, but Zhao didn't do that. You know, Brent just admitted it was Frazier behind it, but he keeps saying Zhao did it. It's like Brent, he tries to pound this point home to get Zhao to finally cave in. And unfortunately, Zhao does eventually cave in. We're going to get to that. Zhao not cracking under pressure shows growth, but he did eventually sell Christian out because he could tell it would force fractures. Plus, for Zhao, blaming Christian for something keeps Brent and Whitney loyal to Kai, even though I believe he shouldn't have given up Christian. He should be okay because right now Whitney and Brent need Zhao more than anyone else on their team. Around 8:20 p.m., Hannah finally links back up with Aces after roasting Frenchie to his face. Hannah tells Brent that Frenchie told her not to trust Brent, Christian, or Xavier. This is the same thing he told Zhao. So Frenchie is trying to make bigger targets out of other men to save his neck. And Frenchie asks Brent to throw the wild card to him, but since he lost to Sarah, now Frenchie is telling the house he threw it. Brent then asks if he should confront Frenchie, and his team talks him off the ledge. This is an incredible HOH week. He has everybody fighting each other. But he let them choose to do it themselves. He gave them free will, something Frenchie didn't. But he is getting the same results. Now Brent and Whitney both know Frenchie is a scumbag, their words not mine, and Whitney even diagnosed him as bipolar, which led to feeds cutting. Oh, they're throwing hot shit, hot lava. They throwing it. And Brent and Whitney have agreed that after the veto ceremony, they are going to really start something with Frenchie because they're going to want to expose him to clear their names once and for all. So that's something for us to look forward to. Around 8:42 p.m., Brittany is talking to Flambeau. Flambeau was losing his mind over the fact that Kai put up 2 jokers. Now, to be fair, putting up 2 jokers does make this week a lot tougher for him and Azah, but they knew this week had to come because of what Frenchie did week 1. Brittany tells Frazier that Kai put her up because she didn't say Frenchie's name, so he knew she would win veto and take him off. Therefore, for his game, it made more sense to throw her up to cancel her out in the veto comp itself. Brittany is showing me she has the capability to be a real threat because she can sum up an intricate conversation pretty quickly. Frazier is in disbelief, though. Brittany doesn't let him walk out because she thinks he's about to make it all worse. Frazier seems to think he has a good enough mouthpiece to punk Kylan into throwing up someone from another team if veto is used. Little does Frazier know, as of right now, he's the back door. These antics might make him get thrown up quicker. Hell, he might get sent home over Frenchie like Dustin versus Evil Dick if he doesn't calm down. That was on my mind. Flambeau might turn into Dustin if he don't calm down. Because Kai told her she would have gone up regardless if she threw Frenchie under the bus or not, Brittany feels powerless, but believes she was so close to winning HOH herself. She vows to make her mom and dad proud because they raised her right, and during the veto comp, her inner black belt is coming out. But towards the end of this cam talk, I guess you could call it, she says no matter what, Frenchie can't leave the house. Feels like a pregame alliance the way she's so damn loyal to him. Almost as if she knows her game has no footing without the gaslighting grifter paving the sidewalk for her. For this reason, I hope someone backs up Kai by keeping noms the same because he will be in the Infinity War. Frenchie has some meeting tonight called the Fireworks. Feels like some Dan's funeral stuff he's trying to do. He's acting defeated, and Kai looks just like Frank Udi before it decided Gin City should use veto on Dan. I'm hoping Zhao isn't Gin City here. But I don't think Frenchie is Dan, and I definitely think Killmonger has more game than Frank. Seems like Brittany has a crush on Christian. I already said that. We can move on. Frenchie said there was a snake in the grass. Somehow Kai throwing Frenchie up is him being dishonest. When Frenchie said he could last Sunday. Then Frenchie starts the gaslighting of bashing Kylan more and more for a problem Frenchie created. Xavier eventually comes over to sit, and Frenchie starts talking more about how last week Frenchie needed someone else to win veto. Then Brent says it's week 2 and it's a mess. Then all 4 of them start laughing. Frenchie tries to convince them Kai has all the women on his side to subtly convince them to vote Brittany out if Kai wins veto. Pay attention. But listen carefully after this, because I noticed something that I'm not seeing many people who watched Fees last night mention. All right? Hannah walked by them. Now understand, this is a birthday. She's wearing clothes that she wants them all to believe she designed herself, because once again, the lie is that she's a clothes designer, remember? But we all know Hannah is smart as hell. She walks by, and then if you listen carefully around the 9:07 p.m. mark, BB time, you hear Flambeau as she's walking away saying, "That's a cute hoe." I'm not making this up. Go back and listen. You're going to hear him say that's a cute hoe. Then later on, when Hannah's doing her talk show, it's called Hot Takes with Hannah. Flambeau calls that. He says, that sounds like some pornography. That sounds like Pornhub. Flambeau throws a lot of sneak disses towards Hannah, and I don't get it. I don't get it. It's really bizarre, but you got to catch it to see it. For some reason, he don't like her. And I don't know why, but let's continue. I hope I'm wrong, but go back to 9:07 and tell me what you hear. This is just another example of Flambeau cooning, in my opinion. After this, an awkward laugh happens, and then Brent corrected Frenchie after he said Kai betrayed the alliance by throwing him up. Brent reminded Frenchie to his face in front of Xavier and Flambeau that Kai could throw him up next week for making him the week 1 pawn. Brent senses the tension rising, so he asks Zhao to play chess. Now, Zhao wasn't ready to play chess, so Brent was just looking for an excuse to walk away because he could tell that Frenchie was trying to gaslight him now. He walks away, he goes to the kitchen, he creates something to drink, and he goes upstairs, and Frenchie blows that out of proportion. But pay attention to what happens right as he's walking away, right? Brent leaves. He actually drops his mic. It hits the floor. Frenchie and Flambeau tell him to pick it up. And then Brent looks at Frenchie and says, "You always have my back." And then he walks off. It was one of the most ironic ways that he could shit on Frenchie in his face. And it worked to me. I thought it was comedy gold. Then Flambeau talks about how he can't trust Brent because he ran straight from the kitchen upstairs after hearing Frenchie say so much. Brent then goes to the checkered room where Christian and Alyssa are playing chess to tell them Frenchie is back to throwing everybody under the bus. How he specifically called Brent, Xavier, and Christian the heads of the snake to Hannah. So while Frenchie downstairs tells Flambeau to relax, you got half of Team Kings telling Brent to relax. The feeds are gold, coach. They were gold this night, man. I was skipping from cam 2 to cam 4 like, yo, what did I miss 10 minutes ago? What's going on? Now at 9:15 p.m., the Jackpot twins, Claire and Tiffany, are working out while discussing game in the gym. Reasons like this are why I like this new door in front of the bathroom. Both women compare notes on Slaughterhouse, Frenchie, and whether the group will keep him because of the alliance. They agree he is dangerous, but Claire just doesn't see him staying next to Brittany, meaning Claire does see Brittany as the perfect pawn. About 15 minutes later, Brent goes to Xavier to tell him about how Frenchie approached Hannah to start an all-girls alliance that I'm assuming got exposed by Travis. Brent stresses the 7 would be loyal, but Frenchie is the bad apple. Xavier laughs about how the group played too fast, but to be honest, Frenchie put the entire season on a fast pace by setting a tone. Kai is just the one who somehow managed to jump on Frenchie's treadmill and prove he was the better runner in his first 24 hours of HOH. That's the truth here, you know. Frenchie set the tone and then Kai stunted on him on that same speed. That's just what it is. Kai running backwards on that speed. Like, yo, this is it? But Frenchie looked like he was out of breath running forward on that dang treadmill. So it just goes to show you the difference in class here. Xavier then asks Brent about his thoughts on Kai's speech, how it was about people's loyalty being first to their teams. Brent agrees with that, but still believes Slaughterhouse could have worked. But you got to remember, Brent and Xavier don't know Sarah Beth and Zhao are closest to Kai. They don't know it was always Kai's best move to pick up floaters and stop the big alliance from turning him into a Jed. Technically, that could still happen, I'm just saying. But you have to make the first person who throws you up pay so people fear having to do it themselves later. Brent is trying to prep X and Christian for what Frenchie could be planning with this house meeting. This is solid to keep the group on code, so Frenchie is just talking to a wall. Brent and Xavier agree Azai or Flambeau must be the replacement nom to seal Frenchie's fate for good. Now on camera 2, Frenchie is now in the back bedroom with Zhao, Azai, and Frazier, acting like he's not mad at being thrown up. He's mad Brittany is up. He's the reason she is up. Well, really it's Christian, I guess. Christian really did play a role here. He really did get his revenge from last week. Frenchie leaves and Zhao continues to comfort Azai and Frazier, so Azai thanks Derek for his empathy, causing everyone to laugh because both Dereks were sitting together. It was a funny moment around 9:43. Funny. Frazier then says he needs to calm down, how his people back home are telling him to chill out. He should, because he's already said out loud he would nominate Kai next to Zhao, proving he does blame Zhao partially for these noms, but he's acting like he doesn't. Frazier and Frenchie continue crying about, it's bullying to make the nominee feel alone. This is so rich coming from these two when they both did it to Zhao a week ago. When feeds return, Frazier's buck dancing is back on. Now he's focusing on portraying Frenchie as this amazing man who wasn't even playing for the money. Now, we haven't heard any of this Frenchie plans to donate all his money to charity talk in his bio or his intro package, so at the end of the day, this feels like grifting. What you plan to do with the winning should play no role in if you deserve a second chance for playing badly. That's the facts. But this is the pity party Frenchie is using to try to make Zhao want him to stay. Zhao even grabs a tissue or two and cries, but he is playing the game 1000%. And if Zhao really wants to work with Azai in the future, he knows Frenchie has to go this week. Now, and Azai, shout-outs to you. I saw you talking to Zhao alone in the coral room. She knows what needs to be done. This is part of her natural progression in the game. You know? And I think if Frenchie leaves this week, Azai is in, she's in a position where people will feel sorry for her to a certain degree. Maybe not as much as Brittany, but by proxy, they will feel sorry for her. This should allow her to not be thrown up anytime soon, you know? Now, Frazier and Brittany, oh, well, those two, they're in trouble. But that's why Azai needs to separate herself from them, similar to how Kai separated himself from Frenchie. See, that's what it's all about. Frenchie then says the money doesn't matter anymore because he sees the positivity in life. How if this is his time to go, he's accomplished a lot. Frenchie, it's only been 1 week. Then he says he would have been offended if he wasn't on the block this week. So you tell the Alliance that Kai betrayed Slaughterhouse by throwing you up, but now you're saying to other people you would feel offended if you weren't thrown up. Okay. Okay, all right. So you're all over the place. So what is even the point of all of this? This guy's crazy. Zhao then leaves. Frazier then says he wants to win veto to keep Frenchie. Frenchie says everyone is nervous he will blow up the alliance. This you need to remember for later because he will. Frazier says he will cut every member of Slaughterhouse one by one out of revenge. Both agree if it's meant to be, Frenchie will make it to week 3. Then Frazier starts begging America to have a power waiting for Frenchie when he goes to the DR. These guys are down bad. They're down bad. You feel it, dig me? I mean, how they wish there was an America's twist, meaning they want production interference. That's what they're begging. Please, production, please. That's what they're saying. So Frenchie then says he is tired of the jocks and pretty girls always winning, but Frenchie created an alliance full of those people. Then Frazier said he's tired of Caucasians winning, but Frenchie is Caucasian and he would drink that dude's bathwater. Make it make sense, coach. I mean, like, what is this guy talking about? Oh, man, I got to do a hand rub because you know you done messed up. What are you talking about, my guy? Huh? I don't see color. I just see lust. See, this is why I told y'all, man, the Lisp lieutenant is going to lose his mind on these feeds. Now, around 10:20 p.m., Frenchie heads to the bathroom while Brent is talking to Sarah, Alyssa, and Hannah in the bathroom. At this point, the whole house knows everything. They know about Slaughterhouse, French Kisses, Brent, Whitney, and Frenchie, Butchers, every alliance besides the cookout. I mean, the black folks, man, they looking good right now. But Frazier, I'm worried he gonna out that too, because he feels like out of all the black folks, he has the worst game right now. I think he might try to break even, expose that, and hope he's not the first one people go for. But see, if you expose this, the black folks coming for you and the non-black folks. I think if Frazier does try to expose this and there's no Frenchie around to help him with this, it's just going to lead to him being the pre-jury boot. Now, Brent tells Sarah about Frenchie trying to also frame Claire as being the creator of the Women's Alliance to Whitney. Frenchie was trying to start a blonde rivalry. Hannah doesn't believe Frenchie will ever use veto on Brittany. He is just placating America for AFP. No one's going to win AFP off playing 2 weeks of the game. It's not going to happen. We're going to forget about you in a few weeks. That's just the truth of it all. It's the truth of it all. How Frenchie has delusions of grandeur to believe always telling the truth put him in this position. Hannah even started imitating his voice and sounded just like my impersonations. I mean, her and Tiffany had me rolling all night, y'all. I mean, that impersonation was top tier. It's something about Midwest people imitating dirty South accents. We just know what we're doing. Now, I got to give Brent a lot of credit. He is pivoting so well for a guy who seemed inseparable from Frenchie just yesterday. This guy has the right mentality to win this game. And he's even making Alyssa, Hannah, and Sarah Beth laugh at his jokes. Brent said, forget America's player, he's America's dumbest. Brittany starts venting to Frenchie and Flambeau around 10:40. Brittany is pissed. Kai called her one of the best competitors in the house, but she hasn't won anything. So now Brittany and Frenchie believe Kai is working for Brent, Zhao, Whitney, and Christian. But here's my thing. Frazier had no problem labeling Whitney one of the best competitors in the house after she only won 1 comp, and then he was the same guy who damage controlled and said Frenchie isn't a comp piece for winning 3 comps in a row. So make that make sense. So once again, these are hypocrites. These are people who are front runners. When the game gets flipped on them, they cry all day. They don't pivot. They don't think of ways out of their position. They want welfare. They want handouts. They want twists gifted to them. They don't want to earn these things. They want them just handed to them off sentiment. This is why I do not like this group. If you take Azza off this team, I don't think any fan really cares about these 3. And I'm being honest. Now, eventually, Frenchie admits he was aligned with that group last week to Brittany and Frazier. Well, Frazier already knew. He said it to Brittany, basically. So now Brittany asks him how he is on the block, and she starts laughing. Before all 3 of them start saying, you are telling me. Now, Frenchie stands up and says he got stab wounds all over his body type stuff. He was like, man, I got stabbed here. I got hit with a knife here. I got hit with a knife there. Now, Frenchie tells Brittany if the veto is a wall comp, nobody has a chance. So if production makes this a wall comp, we know it's rigged. Brittany then mentions how 2 guys told Kai that Brittany started the All-Girls Alliance. Frenchie says someone told. He won't say who, though, because it's him. And Brittany isn't dumb. She's fishing for intel to see if Frenchie is honest about using veto on her or not. If you're not even going to keep it real about why Brittany is being framed for this, then she knows if you win veto, you're not going to use it on her either because you're lying about that. Because one thing led to this. And you're lying about both, but that is what it is. Now, Frenchie tells Brittany her, Azza, and Frazier need to work with Claire and Tiffany if he leaves to target the rest. Little did he know Claire and Tiffany would come in the room, hear them out, and we're going to see their reaction. It was gold. It was comedy gold. Now, about 10 minutes later, Tiffany and Claire come in the back bedroom right on time because Frenchie wanted them working together. Frenchie then proceeds to blow up the Slaughterhouse Alliance to these two. Now, keep in mind, these two within the Jackpot Alliance, who are super close to Kai, were already privy to all this information. They may have not known the exact people within it, but they knew the name, and they knew 7 out of 9 people, maybe, give or take. Now, he name drops every single member to the Jackpot Twins because Xavier, who he selectively forgets out of pure fear, but he also doesn't blame him for what Kai did either. But Tiff and Claire already discussed this in the workout room. So Frenchie failed at trying to gain momentum by snitching on Slaughterhouse because he didn't provide anything new. And him acting like Frazier wasn't included was dumb because everyone knows Frazier is included in anything that Frenchie starts. So that was the first direction they went wrong in. When you're trying to start a pivot, when you're trying to get other people to flip and work with your side, you have to be completely honest. And you have to assume these people know everything. So you have to make sure, even if it hurts your game a little bit telling them too much, you got to make sure you tell them enough to a point where if they compare notes with other members of the house, they can guarantee, okay, he is turning another page because he told me nothing but the truth there. By them, basically as a trio, coming up with that plan to try to get Claire and Tiffany on side, Claire and Tiffany took it the opposite way. They took it as disrespect. Like, you think we're this stupid? So let's get there. It's clear to me Frazier blames Tiffany partially for this as well because he went out of his way to say he hasn't seen her all day when she walked in. Now, if you've been around black folks, whenever people say that, it's usually a loaded statement, right? That implies he thinks she was avoiding their team during their lowest moment. Pay attention. Telling me he's not working with Tiffany closely if Frenchie leaves. Brittany makes a huge mistake going out of her way to paint a bigger target on Sarah Beth in front of Tiffany and Claire. They will run that back to her at some point. So now Brittany is probably going to be thrown up by Sarah in the future if Tiffany and Claire play this right. Then Brittany starts begging for production to give them a diamond power of veto. These people are sore losers. As Tiffany, along with the help of others, bakes a surprise birthday cake for Hannah, Kai is prepping people not to react if Frenchie tries to blow up the house with this firework stuff. Kai is being the perfect HOH to get Frenchie out of here. To be honest, I haven't seen much of Kai all night because of all the drama unfolding between Brent, Frazier, Hannah, and Frenchie. These four were pretty much the stars of the night. You could also add Claire and Tiff. Tiffany and Claire are a national treasure together. They figured out Frenchie only snitched on Slaughterhouse to them now because he wanted the two of them to keep him this week and target the other side. Tiffany doesn't trust Brittany anymore, especially after she threw Sarah under the bus in front of them. Because keep in mind, they were hoping if Brittany did get thrown up next to Frenchie, it would make Brittany throw Frenchie under the bus. Brittany did the opposite. In fact, she worked with Frenchie and Derek Frazier to try to fool Claire and Hannah into doing a move that was against their best interests. Why would they turn on their teammate in Kai to work with y'all? It doesn't make sense for them right now. So, also, they noticed Brittany talking to Zhao in the weight room, so now they know for a fact Kai made the right decision throwing Brittany up because it revealed to the house she was only ever going to be loyal to one man, and that's the Frenchman. So for all the people thinking Kai could have choked by not throwing up Brent, ask yourself, would Brent be this mad at Frenchie if he was nominated? No, because he'd be half as mad at Kai. Now Brent loves Kai and hates Frenchie. Same as Whitney. Same as Tiffany, who at first wanted Frenchie to stay over Brent. This is next level gameplay from the Killmonger. No other noms would have gotten this type of reaction out of so many players. Christian looks funny style to Frenchie because he's close to Brittany. Xavier is sitting pretty just because Frenchie doesn't think he was behind this. And the people on the outskirts are finally seeing the multiverses of strategy fused together. People want to defend Kai because they feel like he defended them from Frenchie's lies. That's why I say the battle of Kai versus Frenchie is the diplomat versus the dictator. Light versus dark. Good versus evil. Free will versus no pivoting. Kai's HOH is so good, he has Frenchie looking like the boy who cried wolf. Nobody believes anything he says now because he ruined his own credibility. Tiffany says she can't trust Brittany because she isn't thinking straight. She should be throwing Frenchie under the bus, but she wants to stay on the Titanic as it sinks just like Flambeau. Asa needs to show she isn't like the rest of these people, so Kai never throws her up. That will be key for her game. Tiffany then mentions how hurt she is that Flambeau would act like he wasn't included in Slaughterhouse, like he just learned that information for the first time when they walked in. That guy slept in the HOH room as much as Frenchie did a week ago. Tiff and Claire are too smart to buy what Frazier is selling, which further shows why he is so threatened by them. I can tell Tiffany knows Frazier needs to be the first one of the cookout turns on. Claire and Tiff agree Frenchie acting like he's already finished is great because the house will start to see how amazing it feels without him. They want him to keep this up. Kai walks in and Tiffany tries to convince Kai to bring kings, queens, and Zhao in for a meeting tonight. Kai wisely shoots this down because he doesn't want it to look like they are scrambling. Kai is diffusing everything perfectly. He is making sure nobody lets Frenchie off the hook. It's only right a big fish shows the fisherman the same treatment. While Frenchie is in the DR, the house guest had a blast in his bedroom, of all places, laughing at this talk show Flambeau and Alyssa hosted. Frazier tells Kai he is stressing over looking like a failure in this game, being worried about being targeted. Kai reassures him he's good and tells him to get some damn sleep. Then Flambeau says another comment to disrespect Hannah by saying her fake show on feeds called Hot Takes with Hannah sounds like Pornhub. So he called her a hoe earlier on her birthday, and now he's mentioning porn with her name on the same night. This guy has lost the plot. Before everyone goes to bed, Claire and Tiffany get a chance to tell Kai about Frenchie blowing up Slaughterhouse, how Frazier and Brittany had the best composure out of any two people left out of an alliance they've ever seen, how they must have been in on what Frenchie was saying because they weren't mad at him at all. Tiffany also snitches on Frazier admitting to not wanting Frenchie out in the kitchen while eating birthday cake. Frazier got more loyalty to Slaughterhouse than he has to the damn cookout. Tiffany doesn't care what Frenchie can do to help her game anymore because he needs to go. You feel it, dig me? Now, Claire and Tiffany agree whoever is freaking out about this can't be trusted. So Brittany and Flambeau just might be turning themselves into the next house targets if they don't start throwing Frenchie under the bus. They tell Kai the whole house is behind this decision, and everyone goes to sleep. Now, let's get to Saturday. Around 9:11 a.m. this morning, Frenchie goes full court press for another one-on-one with Kai. Frenchie tells Kai before veto comp he's only HOH for 1 week, so he needs to get to know the other side of the house. The only people Kai isn't cool with is on the block and probably Frazier. If you can make 12 out of 15 players happy during an HOH week, you're performing well. Frenchie then says the veto is going around Brittany's neck regardless, and it doesn't faze Kai. Frenchie can't get a read on Kai no matter what he attempts to say. Then Frenchie admits to blowing up Slaughterhouse and says it wasn't because Kai nominated him. Lies. Oh, yes, it was. Because Frenchie is butthurt the alliance he started all agreed he needed to go for the alliance to work. His ego took a massive hit like most narcissists. They don't want anyone having fun if they can't have none. But what Frenchie doesn't realize is that he's helping Kylan's game more with these antics. Kai looks like the guy who would never turn on his alliances. Frenchie looks like the guy who's never loyal to any alliances. Understand, Kai keeping Brennan Whitney off the block made it easier for Frenchie to blow up everything because even those two turned on him. Frenchie thought worse come to worse, he did enough to make sure Brent or Whitney would be on the block next to him over Brittany. Frenchie was banking on Kai being thirsty for revenge and blowing up Slaughterhouse first. When Kai didn't do what Frenchie expected, Frenchie had no moves besides blowing it up himself. But who blows up an alliance the same day they claim they are happy they get to see their family? Happy they played such a good game. Truth is, Frenchie is showing everyone his happy-go-lucky persona is an act because he threw people under the bus again the same night. And now with Tiffany and Claire knowing that Flambeau and Brittany are compromised, Frenchie ruined the games of his two closest allies just because he's a sore loser. Damn! Bro, do what Travis did. Have some loyalty on your way out. Travis never threw Kai under the bus of Zhao. He stood 10 toes down tall. And he went out like a savage. Now, we didn't like the buck breaking on Thursday night's episode, but outside of that, he went out like a G, coach. I'm going to keep it real in these streets, Double G. You going out like a punk. You going out like a punk, man. You know? You really going to let these other people carry some of this weight, bro? Like, I don't think that's cool, man. Brittany and Flambeau do not deserve to carry some of these bags, man. You need to be blaming yourself 100%. But the problem is, you're playing this game of hedging. Oh, don't be mad at her. Be mad at me, even though I'm the one who compromised her by not bringing her over to start the alliance and then blaming it on her. You guys are the big bad bullies because you won't allow me to lie anymore. Like, bro, at the end of the day, man, no matter how you shake it, bro, when it's all said and done, you should have just took that temptation. You not taking that temptation is why Brittany is on the block next to you. It's why Azza and Flambeau's games are ruined. Well, Flambeau's game is ruined. Azza has to pivot. I mean, that one misplay, and I know hindsight is 2020. It's why it looks like Team Jokers are a joke. Now, Kai throwing up Brittany, which was still Frenchie's fault, forced Frenchie into his worst nightmare where now Jokers have to choose between themselves if Vito isn't won by them. Frenchie knows Azza is closer to Brittany. He also knows Azza was pissed Frenchie gave Britt and Whitney all that special treatment a week ago. Imagine treating Azza like trash for two people that flipped on you soon as Kai won HOH. You fool! We about to fry this dude tonight. You look like a damn fool in these streets. Come on, bro. You literally curbed Azza to give special treatment to these attractive people that you hate to have the chance to win. All the same attractive people you allowed to have the first week off? Huh? Because you were so threatened by Kai so much? Huh? Talking about those people, huh? I bet you wish you would have just threw a Brent now. Frenchie then acts like people downstairs are being treated like crap because they are distancing themselves from nominees. That's the game, though. It's clear Frenchie's new ploy is him hoping to make Kai paranoid enough to think he needs Frenchie around as his shield, because Slaughterhouse will cut Kai at Final 7. But if Frenchie already blew this alliance up, why is he still campaigning based around the alliance still existing? See, Frenchie, you're all over the place. And you don't know Kai has a lot of this information already. This guy is as bad as pitching for why he should stay as I have ever seen, man. It's as bad. I've seen a lot of players in Big Brother's past be clearly screwed, but still give a better case. Remember when Kiefer was about to get backdoored by Jed? Remember that? Remember how hard Kiefer worked? Don't get it twisted. Kiefer played a pity party game too, but Kiefer knew when to play it. This guy, Frenchie, he's playing it all the time. And see, if you don't know when to use your go-to move, eventually your go-to move not going to work no more because that's all you do. You got to wait for the right moment to use your go-to move. Unfortunately for Frenchie, I think he's been exposed as someone who has no go-to move. He just stumbles into moves, you know. This guy isn't good at the game because he contradicts himself at every turn. If he was going to make this pitch, he should have done it before he further dug his grave. Kai has no incentive Kai has no incentive to piss off the entire house by making sure Frenchie stays this week. Frenchie then says there is a core four of Brent, Whitney, Christian, and Alyssa. He finally is telling the truth now. That four will be a problem at some point. Kai will need Xavier's help to get out Brent and Whitney. And for Xavier's game, I don't think he can really help him take out Christian. But if that core four is so threatening, why didn't Frenchie's punk ass throw up 2 of those 5? He threw up Alyssa, but not Whitney or Brent. So now Kai should do what you failed to do and become the new you by changing his mind? Nah, Kai's sitting pretty. That's the truth. Frenchie keeps using this America loves me, so they must hate you for turning on me type of strategy. If only he knew about how much fans wanted him out. I get what Frenchie's angle is. He wants to win Vito, then get Kai to backdoor Christian or Brent over another Joker so he can keep Brittany as well. But for Kai's game, it makes more sense to take out Frenchie's defenses because he made it his personal goal to take out a member of Team Queens a week ago. And this also makes me question why Frazier is so mad. Frenchie replaced Kai with Travis. He made it look like he wanted Queens to go badly. Also, he wanted Zhao to use the veto on Alyssa, not Kai. Meaning, if Frenchie had it his way, it would have been Kai next to Travis, which is no different than Brittany next to Frenchie. So, hold your own nuts and stop all the bitching. I'm going to keep it real in these streets. You feel me? An eye for an eye, you know? So why is it dirty to want a Joker out? Keep that same energy. Frenchie thinks if Kai talks to Sarah or Tiffany, they will convince him this move makes the most sense. But if Frenchie really plans to use veto on Brittany, Frazier is going up. Only if Frenchie takes himself off does Kai have a tough decision. After Frenchie leaves the HOH, Kai talks to Christian, Alyssa, Xavier, and Sarah. This Kings-Queens coalition is strong. Eventually, Xavier and Christian leave after admitting Kai threw up the right people. Truth is, Frenchie protecting Team Aces last week and only protecting Kings and Queens is what brought, and only targeting Kings and Queens is what brought them together against his team. That's the truth. Based on the conversation, veto picks were good. It appears veto will be played by Kai, Frenchie, Brittany, Alyssa, Zhao, and Claire. Meaning Kai has Claire, Alyssa, and Zhao all working for him to seal Frenchie's fate. So realistically, this was a 5-on-1 in this veto because Brittany's not taking off Frenchie. This was a this was a 5-on-1. Odds were stacked against them. They did not rig the veto bag. For all the people that think, oh, there's only 3 chips in there. Well, this is the proof they're not rigging these bags. Because trust me, if they wanted to rig these bags, well, actually, yeah, if they wanted to rig it, they would have made sure Flambeau was in this comp. Because see, Flambeau wins veto. He takes Frenchie off. Now you can't put up Ozza next to Brittany. I don't think Kai does that. In that situation, I think he's forced to throw Bryn up now. That's why Flambeau not being able to compete in this veto was very key to guarantee Frenchie's fate was sealed. All of Team Kings leave besides Sarah so she can have a one-on-one. Kai is just setting himself up to not be a target of Brennan, Whitney, or Christian and Alyssa. He reconvenes with Sarah to make sure everyone knows best case scenario is if noms do not change. Sarah tells Kai Frenchie can't manipulate anyone by blowing up alliances anymore because the whole house knows it all. Kai admits Brennan and Whitney need to go after Frenchie. So once Frenchie leaves, Brennan and Whitney should be the house target in all likelihood, barring Frazier and Brittany sinking their own ships. Now, Sarah tells Kai she believes she can convince the rest of Team Jokers to target Brennan and Whitney before Kai, but Flambeau and Brittany are too emotional to play smart here. They will try to avenge Frenchie like dummies. After Sarah, here comes Flambeau the Fool, trying to get his one-on-one with Kai. Here we go. Here we go. This is like Professor Xavier versus the Blob. If you know, you know. But anyway, Kai tells Frazier he has had a lot of conversations and he has the right intel to know the noms were best case scenario. Frazier is still visibly mad over 2 jokers being up. Frazier admits the decision was accurate, but for the cookout, if someone big like Frenchie goes out, there is no cover for them. Using that logic, they should have kept Travis a week ago over Alyssa, huh, Frazier? See, Frazier's all over the place. If you didn't want to keep Travis a week ago because he was a big threat who could win, then why should we keep Frenchie over Brittany? Please explain to us all what makes that any different. It's the same dynamic. It's because you got a crush on that dude. That's the difference. That's the difference. Flambeau didn't do that. Why? Because Travis was a threat. Now threat should stay because your boo got exposed? Come on, dog. Black fans' problem with Flambeau is he was nowhere near this mad when Frenchie nominated a black man last week, but he goes scorched earth mode when the black man claps back on the same Caucasian man Flambeau said he didn't want to win. It's like he doesn't view Frenchie as white, and it's like he doesn't view Kai as black. But all you got to do is look at Flambeau's best friends back home, and you know he don't kick it with that many black folks anyway, so he's grifting just like Frenchie is. Frazier then says the head of the snake is Brennan Whitney. Then Kai tests Flambeau on what Frenchie may have said negatively about Xavier. Flambeau admits he is saying stuff about X, so Kai says, well, I know he said stuff about both of us, so if he's willing to do that to me and X, what makes you think he won't do that to you, Flambeau? Frazier had no response. He was tap dancing, boy. He was tap dancing. He was going Bojangles, step and fetch it on us. I'm like, bro, what is going on here? Because Kai brought up a great point. If Frenchie is willing to make a target out of me and Xavier, I mean, he gaslighted both of them on the same night, 10 minutes apart. He said Kai, for cracking a joke, was being problematic and threatening. Then when Xavier suggested something, he asked, is that a threat? So understand, if he can do that so easily to these 2 black men, he could easily do that to you too, Flambeau. But once again, Flambeau thinks he's the special Negro. So he think he got this special, I don't know. He feel, it's like he thinks he's Naruto or something. Like he got the 9-tailed fox in his stomach. He think he just meant for greatness or something. Like, bro, you got to go and get that greatness. You know what I mean? It's not going to be handed to you. And for whatever reason, he just comes off as someone who's gotten a lot handed to him based off how he's reacting to adversity, you know? So he asked him that question. Flambeau took a while to respond back to that because Kai was testing on him on how on code he was. Frazier says no, but then says, I guess so. What does that even mean? Then he tries to damage control like Frenchie loves the black men the most, but 3 days ago he liked Brennan Christian more. You're not making sense, Frazier. You know? Kai then reminds Frazier about how Frenchie will do anything to win. Both agree as long as Brenner Whitney don't win HOH, the cookout is good. Frazier tries to imply Frenchie winning HOH next week wouldn't be bad for Kai, but it would be. Kai then brings up how the detonators needed Devin gone during BB16 because he was doing too much. That is Frenchie now. Spot on analysis there, Kai. Then Flambeau says when he wins HOH, Kai will have to fall in line. That's not what you say to a dude before veto is won and played. That's not what you say to him. You know, I'm like, dude, you need to calm down, bro. He's going to have to fall in line. Kai says he will, just don't throw him up. Now, understand, Frazier's already said he plans to throw up Zhao next to Kai if he wins HOH next. So understand, Kai is testing Frazier to his face right now. He said, hey, I'll do whatever you want, just don't throw me up. So now he's putting Frazier in a position to become the next Frenchie. Understand that. Slick, very subtle gameplay there from Kylan. I'm really liking this. Now, Frazier is already sounding like Frenchie talking about, I might need you to win veto. Stuff like this makes Flambeau the easy guy to throw up if Brittany comes off. Nobody even expects this guy to win HOH. Then Kai makes Frazier uncomfortable by saying he knows Brennan Whitney didn't do the hinky votes. Oh, you done messed up, Frazier. You better own up to this sooner than later. I'm telling you, the whole house knows you did it, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough you're covering up for this guy, and then the vote is connected to that guy as well. Bro, you got to own up to this at a certain point or else no one's going to trust you. No one's going to trust that you're going to stick to the vote that you promised them. If you're the Mr. Hinky guy, and it's already been confirmed to a lot of these power players, then you're probably going to get thrown up next week. Keep in mind, Kai knows Flambeau was one of the votes now because of Christian and Alyssa. And this is playing a role in why Team Kings doesn't trust Flambeau. So for Frazier to blame it on Christian only further tells Kai he can't trust Frazier. Frazier then tries to flirt with Kai, talking about how pretty his teeth are to make him stop talking about the hinky votes. Even more moisture can't help Frazier here. Now, Kai makes it clear he doesn't care who did it, but he clearly was testing Flambeau to see if he can be trusted. Frazier slipped up, saying he would nominate Kai during this conversation, and messed up not telling the truth about the hinky vote. He is just digging his grave deeper, and he thinks he's the mastermind. When feeds return, it's revealed Zhao was one veto again, sealing Frenchie's fate for good. And I highly doubt Zhao uses veto because he will want to back up his Trilltown partner. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to start answering y'all questions. We got about 6 or 7 minutes to answer these questions because y'all know me. I don't like these rants going over 2 hours when they're a deep dive. So I'm on my way to the live chat, and let's get to answering y'all questions. I hope I did a fantastic job of summing up this crazy night of feeds, crazy weekend of feeds. Now it should be non-debatable how amazing Kai's HOH reign truly was. You know, I'm seeing people trying to overthink this. This was the optimal play because we got so much entertainment out of it. And please, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please do not forget to like this video, comment underneath it, and share it with all the fans of Big Brother 23 that you rock with. You feel it, dig me. Frazier is Derek F. He's Flambeau. I thought you knew that, Deborah. My bad. The Joker's team is definitely a sinking ship, Miss Feminista. Oh, it's glad to see you with your Infinity Stone. Flambeau's the player we thought Braden would be on BB Can 9. Honestly, it feels like Flambeau is trying super hard to be Josh Martinez, believing that Frenchie is his Paul Beta-Hamian. Hey, man, I can't be mad at you for believing that's your only way to win. But it really shows you have no confidence in yourself if the only way you see yourself winning is next to one person out of 16. That means you're not getting to know people well enough. That means you're not setting other people up to be scapegoated for later like Frenchie is doing to others. I mean, it just shows, man, you just want to be that lazy dude on his back all day laying on his little futon in the cut in the back bedroom with Azza, and you just want Frenchie to do all the work, but you think the house will reward you with the win just because you black? Like, bro, no, that's not how this works, man. And the reason why we got a black winner in BB Can 9 is because he was sitting next to someone black. He doesn't even plan to sit next to a black person. I think Frenchie gonna would mess around and win over Flambeau in that situation, because I don't think Flambeau is going to be able to take out targets the way Josh was able to during his season. We gotta remember, Josh did a lot of things that season, man. Didn't Josh win the final HOH? Didn't Josh take out Cody? Josh did a lot of things that season, man. He did. I mean, I might fry the guy, but at the end of the day, Josh is twice the player Flambeau is. And that's me saying a lot, because I really give Josh credit. So that tells you how I really feel. You know? Kai is like the steady hand of a surgeon. He's going to remove the tumor with making little mess and leaving the whole body better than before. Thank you, Clayton Davis. That's a great comparison, right? Very steady, not shaky, not nervous. And he's very cognizant of how he comes off, because Frenchie tried to portray him as someone who couldn't keep his composure. So it's very important to show, hey, my composure was the way it was because of Frenchie's high-octane style, not because that's my personality trait necessarily. Now you get to see how he is in power, and once again, he's dodging the cocky black man stereotype by showing emotion even though he threw up people, right? He's making this seem like it wasn't a personal move, it was a strategic one, because even he's crying about it. All of this is slick gameplay. All of it is slick. It's top tier in my opinion. Let's shoot says, I forgot about Christian. That says a lot. He's being quiet. It's smart for him to be quiet right now. He wanted Frenchie gone this week too. It behooves him 100% to stay out of the way, and let him get sent to that shadow realm. You feel it, dig me? Oh yeah, I couldn't stand that Travisa stuff, Gabby. I couldn't stand that stuff. I like Travis. I kind of was salty he was evicted because Alyssa's plotting against Xavier. Absolutely. And I really don't know what her problem is with Xavier. Like, I really don't. Like, Xavier always giving her compliments and stuff. I don't know. I guess he doesn't have the G-Eazy swag that she requires to bust it open. Which was an L, Alyssa. You shouldn't even admit to that type of stuff. If you're going to bust it open for a rapper, be someone with some talent. Let me stop, man. Let me stop. Let me chill out, man. I'm going in tonight. I'm trying to see if there's some questions up top. No, there ain't no questions up at the top, man. Y'all was really listening to these notes. I appreciate that, Coach. We got like 2 or 3 more minutes to answer some questions. Rod asked a question. Coach, can we say besides Tiff and Kai, DX has done more for the Cookout Alliance than the rest of its members? Absolutely. Absolutely. I might give Xavier some credit here and there for smoothing some things over to keep Frenchie from immediately connecting some dots. But yes, Ozza has contributed little to nothing to the group. Flambeau, little to nothing to the group. Hannah, she's contributing by not being around them too much and by not letting anyone know that she's connected. So yeah, I mean, everyone else, is by far contributing a lot more. I'd say Hannah's contributing more than Xavier though, because her read is very strong on things. Theo asks question. Shout outs to Theo. Do you think Frenchie will attack someone physically? It's funny, Theo, you talked to me about this on Twitter, right? Theo is under the impression that Frenchie is the type of guy who could I think he called it like the horizon, or like what did you say on Twitter? I want to quote you specifically. Hold on, I'm about to go to my Twitter real quick just so I can I think he called it the event horizon. Yep, he called it the despair event horizon. So Theo has a theory that Frenchie could reach like the point of no return where he's so embarrassed by being the second boot after a first HOH week in which he didn't take the temptation that would have kept him safe. He's worried that he could reach this despair event horizon where he could end up being a Justin from BB2 by picking up a knife. I don't think Frenchie gonna go that crazy. I think that would be a terrible look, and quite frankly, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because the last thing we need is for this season to be derailed because of that, right? I could see them shutting down this whole season if one person gets one nick on their arm from a knife. You know what I mean? That's not what we want. We're not even really trying to speak into existence, but I do believe he's a sore loser, and anything is possible when people are sore losers. Ghost Hunter. Shout outs to Ghost, man. It's good to see you. What up, Dave? You enjoying the season? I am enjoying the season, Ghost. I mean, I've done 10 rants in 10 days of the game. That's factual, actually. It's almost like a rant a day. Now, of course, I spread them out. It includes a WTF and a preseason rant or whatnot. But yeah, you can definitely tell based off my work rate so far, this is a good season. Okay. Gabby asked a question, Coach. With this alliance with Team Queens, Kings, and Derek X work, I think it really can work if Christian and Alyssa realize that they should be more loyal to this group than Aces. I think Alyssa and Christian will try to hedge, keep Brent and Whitney around. See, they want the team twist to be lifted so then they can show their real selves. But if Brent and Whitney get taken out before the team twist gets lifted, they're not going to have the luxury of wanting to turn on Xavier because they're going to want to play the easy route of targeting the rest of Jokers. That's what I see if Brent and Whitney get taken out after Frenchie. Oh yeah. 2 hours. Yeah, Tevin. I went in on this rant. You gonna enjoy it, bro. Don't worry. I put a lot of good tidbits in here. Don't worry. Um, Frenchie is effed and I'm happy. I see you, Cart Gamer. We all should be happy, Coach. The Anointed one asked a question. Has Tiffany earned a call before Davon and Bailey for the number one? Bailey ain't coming back. Bailey living her best life. And let's be real, Bailey is above this stuff at this point. You feel it, dig me? Bailey don't need the clout. Bailey don't need the money. Bailey don't need the attention. She values her mental health at this point. And that should be valued above all else. As for Davon, I'm hearing she's going to be on X on the Beach real soon. So maybe she's going to work her way back into that challenge pool. Who knows? By the way, shout outs to Jamar Lee from BB Can 8. I'm hearing he was casted for X on the Beach. It's good to see that brother getting another opportunity because he was screwed over the most. Now, I know the cast was as well due to COVID, but he was royally screwed. And I'd argue if it wasn't for how he got screwed over, maybe we don't get this trickle-down effect where BB Can 9 was great and BB23 is starting off great. So, Jamar Lee, I don't want people to forget your significance in the history of this game because your sacrifice truly created 2 good seasons so far. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the 10th rant of BB23 entitled the Gummit's Plummet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, and this is your number one source for everything rants concerning Big Brother US. If you could, please do not forget to like this video, comment underneath it, and share with all the fans of Big Brother 23 that you rock with. And I'm out, Coach.